morning, Bitcoiners. Back again on Bitcoiners United. I have Tony Tusatz with me today. He is a real estate pro, an investor, full-time math teacher, husband, and dad. He's also a Bitcoin educator, blockchain council certified Bitcoin expert, inspired, as many of us are, by self-custody, paranoia, and the common struggles we often face when protecting and teaching our loved ones. He's deeply researched scams, hacks, crime, compiling his work into the Liberty Sats series. It's 3 beginner books so far, each with 21 chapters written as engaging narrative stories, fictional but relatable characters. They face real world Bitcoin situations drawn from actual events. And through his website and his books published through Liberty Sats Press, he offers calm, practical, hype-free guides for families and newbies on self-custody, digital defense, and inheritance. As he says, he's not here to scare you, just prepare you. And that's his 2 sats. Tony, welcome. Thanks for joining, and welcome to the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you, Fritz. Great introduction, by the way. I was trying to come up with one on my own, and I think you just wrote it for me. That's good. Yeah.
I appreciate, as we were preparing for this, and you gave me a lot of good info to know you and how to introduce you. And you've got some stories. We all go on this journey where we find Bitcoin, and you might relate to this. Many of us, we start figuring it out, and you're kind of like the only person in your world that like starts to figure it out and know the stuff. And you're kind of like compiling your information, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is important stuff. And you see what's going on in the world, or other people curious and dabbling in it, but making mistakes and don't know stuff. And it's like, I've got to help people. I've got information. I've coalesced into stuff for myself. And then like a next step is often very much helping others in your world or online, and trying to steer them clear from whether it's shitcoinery or scams, the hacks, just to be safe, because people don't often get it entirely naturally. They don't know all the pitfalls. And so you start learning, and you have compiled this very explicitly into your content and your media. So when was it that you get orange pilled, you start learning? How long ago was it that you were like, okay, I'm going to write stuff down, compile it, and make a series? Did that turn a corner for you at some point years ago, about 2020 or so?
Yeah. I'd say COVID kind of triggered it for me.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I remember just being, I was in Florida. I'm still in Florida. I live in Florida, actually. It was a little less restrictive here just because of the way things went down. But I remember being home, locked down. I'm a teacher, still a teacher full time. And we got sent home around spring break around this time, 6 years ago or something. When it was the anniversary of COVID not too long ago. And I remember teaching from home, and they allowed the students to skip state testing that year. So almost nobody cared at that point. Like we were just, we're not going to really graduate. Kids were kind of in that place. I was watching, I was in real estate at the time, still am kind of part-time with it, but I was crushing it during COVID. I mean, the money was flowing everywhere, and I knew a lot. I mean, I studied stuff from 2006, 9/11, conspiracy theories, Alex Jones, all that. I've been in that whole.
Oh, I've been on that road. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Still on that road. I listen to all those guys. I listen to everything I could possibly get my hands on. But there I was running on the treadmill during COVID and trying to stay in shape, trying to stay positive, and started listening to guys like X22. I don't know if you're familiar with Dave and those guys. A couple Bitcoiners started coming up. I'm like, what is this Bitcoin stuff? I heard about it actually in 2015. I wish I listened, but people were asking me. I don't know.
We all feel late, but we're early.
I was into more real estate. I was getting into, wholesaling, investing. I didn't have a license yet. I was just like going to gurus, started learning about money, started learning about way back then in the 2016 region. Trump came in. I was like, what is this? I knew everything about Federal Reserve by that time, taxes. I'm like, okay, this guy's going to change things. And looking around, really started getting into things. And COVID hit, right? So kind of goes way back to like maybe 10 years ago. But never had the idea of this character, Tony Tusatz, which kind of a playoff. People say that's my 2 cents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're dropping the dollar. We actually don't even make cents anymore, right? The penny got the axe. So I thought, oh, 2 sats. And that's pretty funny. And I was just flipping around some names. I'm like, there's a good fictional name, And yeah, I used some tools and it came up with, fictional characters. I'm like, what if I tell a story from a narrative point of view? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I looked at all the Bitcoin books. They're all very technical. And I don't say intimidating, but when I was new, when I jumped in, maybe around 2020, I discovered Coinbase, all this, started buying everything. Actually got into Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. I was like, that sounds cool. Let me buy some of that. I had
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
idea what it was. I was just like, what is this? I'm like, okay, Bitcoin, let me buy. I'm like, I have to buy a whole one. And at the time it was like, it
Yeah.
was, I don't have that money laying around. Yeah, there was just listening to podcasts, starting to get familiar with it. And my wife's not into it. She was like, okay, whatever, one of your adventures, go ahead. I support you. Um, all my friends, nobody's into it, right? They're like, that's magical internet scam money and be careful. And some people are like, oh, I have a friend that got really rich off that, but that won't happen to you. But I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be something to it. And I started listening to influencers and things and just buying a book here and there. Yeah, what did it for me was Safedoon Amos's book,
Yeah.
Michael Saylor, all those guys. Started listening to them, going, oh my God, what is this? And then it took me a while to really, I'm still learning about it. I'm not like, I don't think anybody's an expert in Bitcoin. I don't
Yeah.
know that.
Nobody really.
Nobody. As soon as I'm like, I get it now, and like somebody says something, I'm like, wait, what's BIP 39? What is that? And I'm like, do I need to know that? Like, but I
Uh-huh.
stuff down my questions, like all my concerns. Like, okay, I'm buying all this Bitcoin. Of course, I lost it all in a boating accident, right?
Uh-huh.
But I learned I learned about UTXOs. Like every time you spend money with Bitcoin, you leave a little dust behind, almost like change. I'm like, well, what is that? How do I explain that to my wife? Like, how do you use the same wallet address over and over? Can you avoid that? And I started just writing stuff down. And then AI kind of came out. And I started just asking it questions and started pointing me places. Then I'm asking my wife, like, if I happen to get hit by a bus tomorrow, God forbid, do you know how to access our stash? She's like, I have no idea. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
That
exactly the same journey I've been on.
yeah, that's
Totally.
that's what triggered it for me. I'm like, I need to start. I need to figure this out. I'm still figuring it out, and I'm trying to make it simple for her or my heirs. I'm like, I don't want her going on Reddit or Telegram and saying, "Hey, my husband passed and he had a lot of Bitcoin. Can you help me?" And she looked at me like she goes, "Oh, maybe I would." I'm like, "No, you don't do that." Like she had no idea. And I'm thinking, how many other people out there think like this? And I'm like, there's probably a lot. I'm probably, and you like Fritz are probably in a small boat of people that know a little bit at least. We don't claim to be experts, but we know a little enough to safely handle it. But then I thought there's
Mhm.
probably a lot of people out there that wish they could handle it, but are, you know, they're standoffish. So I started asking people like, why don't you own Bitcoin? Like just friends, family. And they're like, I don't know what it is. And is it money? Is it, I get them to a certain point and they go, oh, so if I lose my seed phrases, I lose all my money. Like I lose, what's the seed phrase? Oh, that's too complicated. Like most people, um, in their senior years that I talk to, their friends or family, like they're really receptive. They'll listen to things, but when it comes to their stash, their money, and they're like, wait, I can lose it if I lose my passcode. There's no one to call. There's no service number. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And right there,
Mhm.
I lose them every time. And I started learning how to orange pill people, and it's really hard. So I thought,
Yeah.
even through education, promises of riches, whatever it is, to get them to listen. But then I thought, well, what are some of the things that Bitcoiners don't think of? Because they'll listen, right? Maybe they're not ready yet. The people that are very standoffish, right? But then I thought Bitcoiners probably don't think of legacy that much, and they talk about it all the time. Like I'm going to retire my wife, and I'm going to. This is generational wealth, man. I'm going to have my grandkids. Like those are great things. I think most of us think that way, especially men. I've noticed. So I started digging into women and who's the demographics behind Bitcoin, like who owns it, and it's mostly men. It's like 90% roughly. The
Mm.
statistics that hodl Bitcoin. And I'm like, all right, so second book or third book I wrote here is really for moms and families. And my wife's like, why do you just say moms and stuff? I'm like, well, think about it. Like you're a mom. Look at my wife. You're a wife, and most women outlive their husbands, right? It's just the way the statistics.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really no one to train you. If I'm gone, I can't. Dead men tell no tales. Like I can't show you where the passcode is. I can't show you where my steel plates are. She goes, what's a steel plate? I'm like, oh God, here we go. So I'm showing,
Yeah.
looking at me like I'm crazy. Like you actually put the seed code words where she didn't know what to call them in a metal plate. I'm like, why do you think I did that? She goes, because you're crazy. And I'm like, no. If I write it down on a piece of paper, what happens to paper? And she started thinking like, oh, fire. I'm like, there you go. You're thinking.
Mhm.
Coaching her through it, and what got her was, yeah, I showed her that she understands. Wow, it was worth 126 at one point. I'm like, look, we have this Bitcoin here. I haven't stacked. I stacked like when it went down to 13,000, stayed with it all the way from 69 down to 13. You know, I've never sold. And I showed her, like, look how much it is. Like, remember I bought that thing and I finally became a whole Bitcoiner. She's like, oh my God. She goes, look at the price now. And I showed her and she's like, wow, her eyes lit up. I'm like, see, but I'm like, that's going to keep happening over the course of the years. Going to go up and down. But I said,
Mm-hmm.
if I die, like, do you know how to? And then I said, if you know how to access it, does she know what to do with it? And I started writing questions. Now she had no idea. She's like, "Do you want me to sell it?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Well, you could if you want to. I don't care. I'm dead. But I mean, for the sake of our children, and grandchildren, the world, there's other ways you could borrow against." She's like, eyes glazed over. You know, I'm like, "Okay." So I'm thinking I need to leave some detailed instructions. Then I thought,
Mm.
we have a will, we have a trust. We went out. I'm like, "Do you leave it with a lawyer? Is that safe?" And I'm
Right.
like, do we trust this lawyer guy? He can just like take the Bitcoin and go, "I don't know what happened. You got hacked." And like my wife would be like, "Oh my God, it's terrible." Which
Right.
you know what I mean. So I'm like, let me come up with like a whole place where people can go for stuff like this, for like the little guy, you know, the little lady, I should say, the little guy, but it's for any spouse or significant other, really, and children, you know. Um, and the book goes into that. The third book. This is Bitcoin. It's called Bitcoin Legacy, Stewardship, and Generational Responsibility. I think a lot of
Yeah.
Bitcoiners that don't have that responsibility. We're thinking about Lamborghinis and ourselves, and some are. A lot of Bitcoiners nowadays, I am seeing they're more of like, let me plant a tree. I'm gonna get deep on you here. Let me plant a tree in which I'll never enjoy the shade or the fruits. It's for my kids. Like that's a big statement for. That's when you know you're an adult, when you start thinking, okay, I'm gonna pass away. I have
Mm-hmm.
all this cash. Like if you had real estate, if you have a bank account, that stuff is in the system. Like if you have a will, it'll be hopefully taken care of to your wishes. But if you don't, it goes in the probate. You know, do you want your Bitcoin to go into that? You know,
Right.
do you want your wife to go, I know I have Bitcoin is now $10.7 million a coin. Your wife's like, your wife's got a second job because she's trying to like, pick up the pieces from, you passing away. And then she's like, man, if I could just act, I just thought about that. It's such a heartbreaking thought. And then I looked into how much Bitcoin is actually left behind that in that way, that people can never access it again and it's gone.
Totally.
And it was, I forget the stat, I put it in the book. It was a staggering number where you're like, I'm like, I need to help people. Like, I'm a teacher. I'm like a husband. I'm a dad. I'm a natural caring person. I think about that stuff. And then I went into elderly people and how they get scammed so easily because they're not very. And my dad, he's 75 or so. He doesn't really understand it, but he got a message from Shania Twain once. You got to hear that.
Ooh,
Oh,
wow.
my dad's like, dude, she was sending me pictures. My dad, he was on Facebook for the first time. Like, just never got into it. This is great. This is wonderful. My friends are. This is like 2 years ago. I'm teaching my dad what Facebook is. Like that's you know what I'm saying. And
Mm-hmm.
we laugh, but at his age, he doesn't give a shit about that stuff. So I'm like, okay. But he's telling me about. I'm like, Dad, that's not Shania Twain. And why would he's just like, well, he's 20 years old again. He's having. I'm like, if it's Shania Twain, good for you. I said, but that's some guy in his underwear in Nigeria. He's trying to get your.
Yeah, right.
He's like fishing. I like fishing. I'm like, no, not that kind of fish. So I'm thinking, oh my God, we're so early. Everyone says that in the Bitcoin game, but I'm like, are we too early? you know, are we,
I know with
are,
technology and AI scams too now, but there are just farms and farms of scammers from all over the world that are, and I hate to say, but they're targeting retired boomers who don't maybe know technology and fall for a pretty girl. It's like some pretty Asian girl or whatever, and deciphering like just spam from any other regular normal email. Some of these people cannot tell. I mean, I in my own family, I've had not my dad, but I've had
Mhm.
aged folks who are engaged with these online relationship things, the relationship scams,
Yeah.
and they believe it. They're like, no, 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 she sent me pictures. I've seen video. She's a
Mhm.
real person, and she's really rich, and she's into gold futures, and it's just like, yeah, right. It always goes back to money and getting you into money, right?
That's a common scam. And I started learning about the names of these scams, like pig butchering, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that sounds gross. But I'm like, and that's kind of what you were just explaining. It's like a fake romance.
Yeah.
They build it over weeks. It's through DMs, direct messages. That's Shania Twain's story. My dad. I've had friends that are smart and around my age, where in that bracket between 30 and 50, where we're kind of technology. We grew up in the 80s, 90s. We got kind of watched the shift into iPhones and everything. We lived in both worlds, like without it and with it. We're a very rare generation. And I've had one of my friends, building engineer, everything, lost it to a scam where it's like, oh, we timed the market and it's Ethereum, and he made like 100,000 a day. I'm like, dude, good for you. But
Wow.
now he listens to the guy, he put it back in, and he lost it all. He had to take a
Oh
loan.
boy.
He paid it
Yeah.
off. Paid it off, and then he went down for like 2-3 years, and he was all. Every time we talk about Bitcoin, you get all mad in the car. I'm like, dude. So I mean, what's killing adoption? What's slowing it down? In my view, is all these missing. Being a teacher, I see gaps. I see it. That's one thing. My strength. You can see in a room full of students who gets it. Like once you get good, you just look and you say, okay, that one's not paying attention. That one's looks like she's in La La Land. You know where that everyone's been there. But as far as people, and I get around, I try to talk to mom groups. I'm a new account on X, so I'm just getting out there, but I'm trying to keep it focused on exactly that. Like, how do we get the fears to leave? How do we teach people about common, just basic stuff? Like, when someone calls you, you don't know the number, you don't have to answer it.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the elderly still answer the phone, and that's, I think, why they get attacked. A lot of our younger generation, we don't talk anymore. We're all like introverts with thumbs. My dad's
Mhm.
like, why don't you answer the phone? You're always I'm like, because I don't know, I just like to text more. It's faster. But he wants to hear my voice and stuff. So now with AI scams, like you said, there's a big one. Like I told my mother-in-law, she didn't believe it. I'm like, yeah, all they need is like 3 seconds of you talking, saying no, yes. So they get you to pick up the phone and say, hello, who is this? And if you listen, like these hackers, they're good. They know they're trying to get you to say a bunch of things. One lady did get scammed. I found real, like everything in my books is just real scams, FBI data, real crime stories that happened from around the world. So all the
Mm.
scams I found are actual, real documented cases. Some have happened once, some have happened a whole bunch of times. But like, there's one in the airport that I didn't know about, so I started writing it down. It's like when you plug your phone into one of those airport chargers.
Oh.
Part of it's a data cable. The other one's a charging. You know what I mean? So there's a data cable in there, and there's a whole hack somebody did in an airport. They're just sitting there in their headphones, their laptops, and pajamas. There's like the hacker's right there, and he's just getting all your data through those cables. He sets up his own cables. Really interesting. Yeah. There's another one with QR codes. We love those. We go to a coffee shop,
So convenient. Yeah.
scan it, but then the hackers, they get a sticker with their own QR code on it, real cheap and easy to do. And they
Mm.
look and they kind of slap it on there and make a distraction or something. They slap it on top of the original QR code. So you scan it to get on the Wi-Fi. They got your phone. They could do different things with it. So there's ways around that. So I talk about just like in the everyday world, just walking around, how to protect yourself without being paranoid to that level where you're just like, I don't want to go outside anymore. Like,
Yeah. Right.
but you realize we're so early. Like a lot of people don't even know how to open a wallet. But there's such
Yeah, they make data cables. No, well, not data cables. They make power cables for phones. Whatever adapter you need for it, but they're air gapped. But they provide the power, but it doesn't allow for data.
yes,
And
yes,
and so that's a good tool technique. And speaking of operational security, I mean, so navigating this world, getting yourself online, creating information and putting it out there. You're employing your operational security today with your avatar and remaining undoxed. Being privacy versus secrecy. It's the whole cypherpunk manifesto concept of, you have the right to operate privately, and it's not like, oh, what do you have to hide? It's just in this technological world we're in, it's just navigating this modern world with appropriate security and privacy. And so yeah, being careful with that. I'm variously kind of, having my face online or interacting online. I'm fairly doxxed, but I swear I get a scam darn near every day. Telegram is bad. Like I'll use and interact with Telegram, and then I'll just get a message all the time from some cute Asian lady or whatever or they'll start out with like, "Hey, I just saw you online. I'm very curious about you. Uh, I'm Nina," and I'm just like, "Okay," and then other people they'll start out with some like misdirected message like, "Hey, can you still pick me up at the airport, Bobby?" And it's like, yeah, no. It's like I
yeah.
delete, delete, delete. It's just
They play
uh,
on your innocence. They definitely play on your innocence because that last one you just said, excuse me, that last one you just said has the helpful person's going to be like, oh my God, somebody just texted me at the wrong number. They're probably stuck at the airport. Let me reply to them to let them know, hey, this is the wrong number. Like that. That's like the person that's driving. You see someone driving towards you and they don't have their headlights on. You give them a little flash, like a courtesy, because you feel bad.
Uh-huh.
That's what, to me, hackers. It's either they call you and everything's like, oh my God, you're gonna die. You need to call this number right now, or you're gonna go to jail. Like they get you worried. And I talk about that in the book. And there's a character in there that there's fictional characters. There's Grandma Satsarella. There's Tony, of course, who's kind of like the voice of reason. Then there's a kid named Joey who always just does the wrong thing. So but their characters are relatable. And I made it so that the oldest person, the grandma, is the smartest one about all this stuff. That's who the books start. Like, the readers that read it go, oh, I can do this. But yeah, I actually talk about Telegram in the first book, chapter 19. The Malicious Telegram Group is the name of it.
Uh,
And
oh, I've been added to Telegram groups. Hey, we're a group to talk about crypto and number go up and making money. And there's all these people in there and they're all commenting. And it sounds like some community. It's all bots and scammers. It's crap.
yeah, they
I'm
do.
like, oh my gosh, I have to report stuff all the time, but
Yeah, and I even found a phishing scam that I didn't know about, which I wrote down and I put in the book. It's in the bonus chapter, I think, in the back. It's like when innocent posts on Facebook or whatever, Instagram. It's like, hey, do you know what your adult movie name is? Just give us your middle name and your first car that you ever owned. And I'm like, oh, I'm Johnny Daytona. That's a pretty cool, triple X movie name right there.
yeah, right.
But what you just gave them, one of your, you make secret questions for a bank account. It's like, what was your first pet's name? What was this middle name of your uncle? What was your mom's maiden name? And then that's part of your security check when you log into a bank account or something, right? So they were fishing for those answers. That's what they're doing. And you're innocent, like, oh, this is a fun game. I'll take my middle name and put it out there for the world to see. And my first make and model of my first car I ever owned. You'll see that, and they're like, you just gave two huge pieces of information about yourself away for free. And I thought, how many of those have I participated in over the years? I'm like, but as a Bitcoiner, I'm like, I wouldn't think of that. Like, so as you get into this more and more, you start to you see everyday situations, and you're like, all right, I need to start shredding my mail more often. Like, you start thinking about, because now, I mean, they could track, if hackers sophisticated enough, they could, not to scare anybody, but just to prepare them, right? They could, I
Sure.
mean, you could send a photo, upload it, send it to a group text, whatever, and a lot of your photos have location data stuck on it automatically. There's a way to shut it off on your phone. I put that in the book, where you send a picture. I send a picture to you from my phone, my camera reel, or a meme or something. And in the data, the metadata of that picture, there's location data. So now you just
Yeah.
robbed physically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, those are everyday things we do every day. Like, everybody sends pictures or uploads them, right? So I'm thinking, okay, let me put that in the book. Does my wife know that? Does my mom know that? Because they know a lot about me. And what are they saying about me that I don't want out there? Because it's like, oh, my wife put pictures of all of us, like, but her account's private, and I talked to her about it. So a lot of it's training your family too. Like, so I thought, man, we went on a vacation too, where the Wi-Fi comes up on your phone, like all these selections, and I'm like, wait, don't do that. Use a personal hotspot. I brought this contraption with me out of Amazon. It's our own travel Wi-Fi box that you bring with you, so you can having your own node. You have full security, and a lot of people don't know that. My wife's like, oh, just, and she had the kids on their iPads, and they went on the hotel Wi-Fi, and she put the password. I'm like, no, what are you doing? Like, we're all connected. Our phones are all connected. The first chapter is called the Hotel Havoc and the Evil Twin Attack. And there's a character, I think his name's Router Rick. I put him in there. He's just a hacker scumbag, But real character, yeah, that's in the book too. Just little stuff like everyone travels, goes to airports, or coffee shops, and it's very convenient to want to hack into their Wi-Fi and use their password. But there's a whole breakdown in the book of how to do it properly, and most of the stuff I never thought of. I'm sitting there going, man, I'm really, I go out in the world every day, and I'm like just exposing not so much my Bitcoin, but just enough information if someone wanted to like start hacking. I get my share of phone calls, my share of random DMs from Asian girls and Russian girls, and or Ukrainian girls now. Like, hey, it's funny. I got one from Elon Musk's mom yesterday on X, and she has a blue check mark, and she had like 12 followers, and I looked at before I follow people, I try to carefully curate it, but it looked real because she had the blue X check mark. She's verified, so bots are getting verified now. I mean, they put money down in bot farms. They pay for the electricity. a lot of them have like just a room full of just phones attached to 2x4s, all plugged in and just body.
Uh-huh.
X has been doing a little bit better of a job, like deleting them. I'll have like 5 followers one day. Next day, the followers go down. And I'm like, oh, do people not like me?
Yeah, I'll see followers drop off, and it's like,
Yeah.
what? And I realize I'm followed by bots, and then X cleans out some bots, and they disappear. But
Yeah. Yeah, we got May Musk. Elon Musk has a real mom. That's her real name. And she had an account, and she reached out to me, and then the DM right away. You giveaway. You get a DM within seconds of following, almost like it's programmed, like a smart contract. And she's like,
right,
"Yeah, you're a fan of my son. Do you like his work?" And I'm like, "Why is Elon Musk's mom taking time of her day? She's like a billionaire. She's the mom of like the richest, most smartest guy ever in history.
yeah,
Why she texted me on a Monday afternoon about what I like about her son's work? I'm like, oh well,
yeah,
let me elaborate on everything I want to say. But you know how many people probably fall for that? Like, yeah,
oh
that's what.
yeah. Oh, this is exciting! Wow.
Guys, you can believe it. May Musk is asking me my opinion. Yeah, okay. And your friends are like, "Who are you? Like, what do you have opinion?"
It
I,
it it preys upon our basic innate sort of positive human qualities of like caring about others or having some sort of empathy or curiosity and interest. And if you knowing how the tech world is, when you stop, it's like stop and think about this for a second. Like, does this make sense? And if it ever goes into any phishing kind of info about anything, it you got to verify that, don't be like, they start soft and easy, and then they kind of step by step lead you towards this trust relationship, and a little more and a little more, and they'll work these scams for months. Sometimes they'll butter somebody up and establish a rapport for months, and they don't get to kind of a point where it matters for a while after they kind of know you're like
Mhm.
in. And they make a ton of money too. I mean, it's billions of dollars a year of scams that they're making money off of. So they're investing in it, like the blue check marks, or looking looking legit, or AI or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. They'll even I don't know. They'll impersonate like you're kind of you're a Bitcoiner podcaster. You're out there, like you said. You've been kind of not hacked, but almost like people copy your identity, and you
Right.
have to say, guys, I'm only on Telegram or I'm only on X. You have to limit your like as a Bitcoin person like myself. I try to like use operational security, try to cover my face, and so I have a family and stuff. Like I don't want them to be involved in this world. I want to teach them, leave any Bitcoin or crypto I have behind for them and let them and give them, empower them and show them. I have guides even on my website. My website has a tony2sets.com is like a reader's companion site too. And has resources on there. So each book, by the way, has Tony's toolkit involved. So if I talk about, like I said, Wi-Fi routers, I talk about that one thing, and which made me upgrade my own Wi-Fi setup in my house and learn how to separate, the Wi-Fi. Like, so when I have a guest come over, they use my pretty fly for a Wi-Fi.
That's
That's
funny.
the name of my network. You can steal that for
Mhm.
Wi-Fi. But they come in and I say use that. And my kids are kind of getting older, and they have a friend come over and they have an iPad or a kid device, and they're like, "Hey, use your Wi-Fi?" I'm like, "Absolutely, but use the guest network." And the guest network is set up where they can't connect to my printer, all that stuff. So I read a lot of hacks on that where you have just unwittingly a kid come over and his phone is compromised. He's 13 or something. They come over to do Xbox Live at your house with your kids. Now
Mhm.
the hacker that's in his phone can, what I mean? You just let in a beast. You have no idea. I'm like, wow, how did
Uh-huh.
that happened. So I looked it up and it's happened quite often. I was like, I didn't,
Mhm.
I'm not. But according to the IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center, they call it IC Cube, right? Internet Crime Complaint Center. Yeah, this is an FBI offshoot. They said, I looked up the stat here. U.S. seniors, 60 years old and higher, lost around, you said it, billions, almost $5 billion to frauds and scams in 2024.
Oh
Just
boy.
that's 1 year. Official report from the FBI IC3 unit. Let's see, 147,000 complaints, most of any age group, 60 plus. So when I saw that, I kind of wrote like my third book is more for like seniors and legacy and like what do we do? And I almost can write like 3 books on that because it's a lot. So I'm trying to keep it simple. 21 chapters. There will only ever be 21 chapters in every book. I don't know if you caught on to that one, but
Nice.
anyway, it's increasing. It says here, according to the FBI, it's 43% increase from 2023 in scams and frauds reported. Those are the reported ones. It's ones that
Uh-huh.
people are embarrassed. Most people, you get hacked or compromised. It's embarrassing. You feel like an idiot. you don't tell anybody. But if you lose $100,000 or $1 million, you're like, okay, I need help. I got to call the cops, right? And then people go, who do I call if I get hacked? You know, like, what do you actually do if that happens?
Yeah.
You
And
shake.
local law enforcement is kind of like they can only investigate so far. They don't have it, depending on the jurisdiction. They're small. They don't have a guy that knows the stuff, and they're just like,
Yeah.
and if it's a small amount, like, oh, it's less than like $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, you got scammed. Like maybe they can look an address up and see it on the blockchain and see that it got mixed, and then it's like, well,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's it ends. And a lot of these things, a lot of the crime goes unreported because, like you said, people are embarrassed. Maybe it's not a large enough amount, or even if it is, they're just like, oh, and
Yeah. You
they
know what?
just lump it.
Husbands secretly buying Bitcoin, not telling the wife. You know, sometimes husbands, wives, or couples, they have a budget. And here, like, imagine if you didn't tell your wife, I'm going to buy 50,000 Bitcoin. I'm just not going to tell her the price is going to go up. I'm going to be the hero. I think a lot of guys think that way. I know
Uh-huh.
imagine losing it then. Like, you get hacked. You're like, shit, how do I tell my wife, right?
Yeah, crushing.
Then you're cops, you got to do this thing. There's all that pressure. So I'm thinking, man, we got to arm people. We got to start arming people with information to protect themselves. I mean, was it the average loss here, according to FBI, was 83,000 on crypto investments lost just in 2024. Real losses by the Federal Trade Commission, including unreported, they say up to 81.5 billion in 2024. So it's
Wow.
actually getting worse since Bitcoin's like Bitcoin used to have to buy it in a back alley from a guy, and like, here's the thumb drive, and okay, here's the cash, right? And then Coinbase came along, man, it made it so much easier, but also invites the hacks, and now you're giving your information, you're setting up KYC, and then there's people like, what's that? Is that a sandwich, a KYC, ketchup? Like, what is it? When I talk to my friends and people that aren't to know about this, you have to be careful too. When you start educating them, they don't want to be educated. They're just there's a stat
Yeah.
talking to somebody said 83% of books people buy don't get read. And I'm like, I can see that. So I'm like,
Hmm.
you need to be digital. So I'm like, let me be digital. Let me have a website where people can go. And there's a whole PDF there where they can go in and click on. I have some of its referral links and stuff. Like if they want to start out and buy a ledger or something like that, and I talk about ledger, and there's the problems with that. Not to pick in any one place, but like, you have to be careful where you put your.
Yeah.
Do you put it on a thumb drive and then put it in a laptop that's compromised? Because maybe your wife uses it on Amazon. It's loaded with trackers and bloatware. Maybe your teenage son surfs things he shouldn't be surfing, and then you plug in your Trezor or Ledger thumb drive into that compromised laptop, not knowing what's on there, and then that is a big, big, big thing. So a lot of it's just one person in the family is the Bitcoiner. It's usually the dad or husband. Normally, according to statistics, it's just how it is. More women are getting into it, but they think it's all about them and their habits, but they don't think about their operational awareness, like, around them. Like, are your kids educated? They know not to click on certain things. And then I got a crypto laptop that's only for crypto business, like just a clean
Uh-huh.
Lenovo, just nothing had the
Uh-huh.
logo taken out of it, everything. I sell that. There's like a link on the website for that too, if people want. Make like $50 and the company sends it out. But I try different wallets, like Cold Card, just teaching people about air gap, like, what does that mean? There's so much technological knowledge, and I think I tell people, if you want to be consulted, I'll help you. I help a lot of people for free, just because if they're asking for it, we need to help them. It's not really about making money. If more people adopt it safely, then Bitcoin will take off. It will become what we think it is. And Bitcoiners have not done, honestly, on average, not talking about you or me, but on average, I think Bitcoiners have done a terrible job, like, educating. I know I have. I've like gotten angry at people, like, how do you get this? Why don't you buy? Shaking, what's wrong with you? How do you? Then I realized, like, they're not there yet. And Michael Saylor says everyone gets it for the price they deserve, and this and that. And I think that's
Right.
harsh language in a way. Like, we get it. I like Michael Saylor. He makes me crack up and calls
Mhm.
me poor, and he's very insulting and very. I'm like, well, it's easy for you to say, buddy. You're a billionaire. You're smart. You've gone through a lot of stuff, and we respect him. But I'm like, what about a lady down the street that just got inherited 2.1 Bitcoin from her husband, who's 80, and he passed away, and she's like, how do I get that?
Doesn't know what to do with it, or asks for help, but
Doesn't even know where to
um,
go for help. Like
yeah, doesn't know where to start, or seeks help, or starts researching online, but doesn't get the right advice or signal, or screws up. And there's a real mindset too, where you may understand a lot about your intentions, or with Bitcoin, the financial aspect to it, but you're not thinking of the personal responsibility it takes to do everything else. Because you're still thinking in terms of like how you might interact with your bank or your broker or your attorney or whatever. And when you've got private keys or are operating Bitcoin in self custody, there's a lot of responsibility you need to take on for yourself, and then navigate that really carefully.
Yeah.
My when you think about family and kids, like when my kids were getting older and were getting online a little bit, they were like just looking for games, like silly fun kids games, finding, searching for games. I would check their computer periodically, and I'd see so much just like malware, not necessarily even like viruses, but
Yeah.
garbage, malware, stuff that's running in the background, just sifting data. And I'm like, how did this stuff get on here? Well, they downloaded some innocuous kids game like little Robo Racer or something.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, yeah, it's a game. And it's not that it was doing anything strongly nefarious, but it was collecting data and just sending it to China or whatever,
Yeah.
so just silly stuff.
Yeah.
But
I remember like LimeWire and like before Spotify and all this. When music started streaming, I remember that was loaded with viruses. My dad used.
mm,
I was living at home at the time. I was in my late teens, early 20s, and I'm like, I don't have to go to the music store and buy CDs, like compact disc. I'm aging myself, aren't I?
yeah.
Brother had cassette tapes. I'm like, so we're going to this streaming thing. Blockbuster's on its way out, that kind of world. And I remember those sites did not have the best code back then, like to block things, and the hackers took advantage. There was constantly bloatware and
Oh
malware,
yeah.
kinds of stuff. My computer would just freeze up and nothing worked. My dad would take it to our friend who fixed computers. He's like, oh, it cost me $200, whatever. I'm like, oh, at least we didn't lose anything. But back then, it would
Uh-huh.
crash your computer. There really wasn't as much financial crime yet because I don't think online banking and the fintech world wasn't really the infrastructure of the fintech world of the fiat world wasn't really set up well back then. So there wasn't a lot of ways for them to steal money from you. But now your wallet, like people are like, what's a wallet? Like you ask people like, what's a wallet in Bitcoin? They really envision a fiat wallet, like a wallet a man would have, or a woman you unfold your billfold. You know what I mean? Like a change purse. You say wallet, like a digital wallet. I'm like, all it is software. It's just code. We call it a wallet. Maybe it's a bad word for it, but
Yeah.
is. And I don't know. I went out there and reading different books about Bitcoin, and none of them really address how to handle it safely for just a non-tech, non-billionaire type person. And I said, that's me. And I looked at different levels of paranoia. I'm like, well, when you first start out and you own like 0.00001 of a Bitcoin, like you spent like $20 on Cash App or something, and you're just sitting there going, wow, that's cool. And you're watching the price go down, it goes up, and you have the psychological game. You start learning it. You really don't care if you lose $20. You're not even thinking that. You're just looking at, am I going to get rich off $20? Is it going to go up
Right.
1,000x overnight? Look at me, I'm a genius. And that's kind of how people start off. They're curious. They get in there. Somebody shows them that you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. That's the thing that they don't understand. I don't have a 75,000 laying around. What do you think I am? Um, but I'm like, no, you can buy. I have a shirt that I wear around sometimes that says "Chill." You could buy a fraction of a Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. And some people are like, well, I don't really have much, or they're not thinking as hardcore security or responsibility because, oh, I just have a little bit. But
Mm.
as you're maybe staying humble and just stacking a little bit, whether that amount grows over time or the value price of Bitcoin in our fiat world goes up a lot, all of a sudden what you thought you had
Yeah,
becomes more and more valuable. And you have to start shifting your thinking about, oh, this is worth changing my approach to.
yeah,
And like what I did too, like from years ago, like you, it was 2019, 2020 COVID era. COVID changed a lot of people's awareness about it, a lot of things. But that's when the Sailor series and Sailor and others started orange pilling me back then. And
yeah,
you start small and humble. And then over time, it's like, oh, I got to change my thinking about this little stack I have. And then I had to think about the origins of that. Oh, it's KYC. Where did I get it? Where have I moved it? What did I use? How safe is that? How do I make it safe? So it can be a progression for some people where you started simple, just learning, And then later you're like, oh, yeah, no, this is more important. I got to think about how I change my habits or practices here.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny. As you were talking here, and we've been talking,
Mhm.
I just got a text on my phone here. This happens not too often, but every once in a while, some random it's a text from an email address, zyjchina at blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
I'm a 23-year-old recent graduate currently working part-time with friends. My schedule's very flexible so I can meet or travel anytime. I prefer a calm and respectful atmosphere, no alcohol and absolutely no violence.
No
But
fun.
if we have a good connection, we can share a comfortable night together. Toys are welcome. For
Whoa.
photo Can you believe it?
I'll bring my
Ooh,
leg.
this is exciting. I'm some lonely pleb who would like a friend, wouldn't I?
Oh
For
wow.
photos, just reach out to me on Telegram at Mary something something. So anyway, I literally just got a scam while you're talking.
There you go. It's everywhere. It's because of me, because we joined forces, and now
The vibe is out there. Yeah,
yeah, that's
goodbye, scammer.
when she says toys. Does she mean like He-Man, GI Joe? I'll bring my. I'm so innocent. I'll bring my Legos. I don't know if she meant my toy.
What hardware device do you use?
Oh yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take self-custody.
My favorite color is. My middle name is. Yeah, that's
Oh,
talking. I was talking about the increasing paranoia paradigm. Like the more you own, the more you get into it, the more your paranoia increases about self custody, and that's what you're explaining. So the more Bitcoin known plus more knowledge equals stronger conviction to protect it, and that's kind of why I wrote the whole Liberty Sats series. It starts to have low paranoia. You trust the world. You're still in a fiat mindset, like you said before, where people have their brokers and they have their bankers they can call and say, "Hey, what's wrong with the website? It's not working. Oh, we'll fix that. Your funds are safe, right?" In crypto, that's happened too, but then there's been FTX and all that stuff that did not help us at all either. But then there's low paranoia. Start getting into it. You go on exchanges. You don't really know. Everybody tells you get your coins off exchanges. You're like, what do you mean? Isn't that the only place you could keep them? That's what I thought for a while. I thought Coinbase was the only place when I first started. I was like, I remember I wrote down like what I was thinking back then, and
they've got great marketing.
yeah, and I didn't know how to explain it to my wife to tell her, hey, can I have $2,000 real quick from savings to buy some crypto? So I just did it, which I wonder how many men do that out there. Like we're just like, oh, again, I'll do it because I see it, I understand it. I think we should have it. And I made some bold moves, and I explained it later. I'll ask for forgiveness, and my wife's like, oh, well, you made us $80,000. Okay, you're good. I'm like, but I'm like, wow, yeah, that was a good play. I made some good ones. Some I didn't make so good. I've lost $10,000 here, and I'm like, oh, this coin's going to go to the moon. I fell for that stuff. Where this is the next Bitcoin. And,
Yeah, right.
yeah, I would just say people like just not investment advice. I never give that, but I just give suggestions. Just do little amounts that you're comfortable losing. That's it.
It's
You know.
it's Yeah, it's nice to share when you're doing well and your honey can be proud of you. And then when it's down or something, or
Mhm.
you're learning or you make a mistake or something, and then you're like, dang it. And you're kind of
Yeah.
like trying to you're recovering yourself from that or sorting it out. Uh,
Yeah.
and your wife is like, how are things going? You're like, fine.
Yeah.
But having a supportive wife. So similarly, my wife is not anti-Bitcoin at all. She's actually like for Bitcoin. She just doesn't necessarily want to know in a way. She wants to know enough so that it's not like, that I'm off doing something and she's out of the loop or something. But uh, she just trusts and needs me to do the work because she has different priorities and
Yeah.
other hobbies. So it's like my man's role that's my responsibility for the family. And we'll talk about it, but I have thought about that. Like, okay, what if, I mean, okay, we have things like situated decently in that regard, but what if I get hit by a bus or something?
Yeah.
The base, just so that she knows enough to know like where it is, what it is, how to get to it, maybe some steps what to do. So you can have your seed phrase protected and all that. Then she kind of needs some guidance or instructions if whatever happened. Those very instructions also needed to be treated with care and
Yeah.
OPSEC. So then it's like, how do I keep her in the loop so she can open the key to the safe to get to it and that's all secure And then once she has it, that she keeps that secure or is safe or does it with
Yeah.
care, and doesn't like start talking about it or whatever. They're all, it's conversations with family. There can be things like, and with kids, like the family has a safe word or kind of a phrase you can say that this is our phrase, that it's our secret. Like if you've got a teenager and if they call like, oh dad, I need help or I need a ride or whatever, I need some info, something happened. I got a teenager in college and he up and calls. It's like you can ask a question and they can respond back with doesn't even have to sound like what's the password. It can just be, oh, how's Aunt Susie? And they know what that means.
Right.
So little things like that. There's tricks and tips that families can do so that you can verify certain things.
Yeah.
There are scams where it's I don't know what it's called exactly. You might know, but basically, like from the fraud department, or it's like you're in trouble. We found a problem. You missed jury duty and you owe fines. Uh, uh, Someone needs bail posted, or someone's in jail that you care about. They need help.
Yeah.
All the stuff where you feel like kind of scared. It works on your fear. Where you're like, oh no, I
Yeah.
could be in trouble, or I've been defrauded. Yeah, I guess I need help, and they're there to help you. And
Yeah.
the the department to help you is the fraud, or
Exactly.
you get scammed, and then a fraud department calls you, hey, we just saw you got scammed, and it's part of the scam. So
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
pig butchering goes, they work you nose to tail all the way through. And even after you're wrecked and they're like, and you're mad at them or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Here, let me help you recover." And it's just and people can't
Yeah.
let it go.
It's yeah, part of that's the embarrassment. You don't want to tell the world, hey, I just lost half my retirement or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
no one wants to say that out loud. It's embarrassing. You just lost uh, big time, and I imagine that causes. Unfortunately, it probably causes some self harm. People
Oh,
taking the easy way out. I don't want to really say that.
oh yeah. There's
Yeah.
horrible stories out there because people are wrecked to their core, or were lying to themselves, or lying to others, or borrowing money and trying to cover it over and fix it, and they dug it deeper and deeper, and they were like almost addicted
Yeah.
and just got wrecked. So,
Comes from the fear of if you trace it back, it's why people want to be rich. It's really a survival thing. You want to have enough resources, and you want to have all your time. The same, you want your cake, you want to eat it too, and you don't want to work anymore. Like everyone shares that. We're just tired of the rat race. We want to get out. We want to buy, even if it's not buying a Lambo, we just want to like pay off the mortgage, pay off the bills, have enough nuts saved up like a squirrel where we can survive and not have to worry anymore. That's a kind of a romantic thing, and it happens for a lot of people. It really does. Some people work,
uh-huh.
build a business, and it takes off, and they go through it, and they're doing well in life. But some people do get rich overnight with stocks. Even it happens. Everyone knows that it's true. It could happen to you.
It could
People
happen.
people win the lottery, barely, but so people keep.
Yeah. Can
It's
feed off your greed. And
exactly. It's greed,
I'll
boredom. A lot of it's boredom. You're like,
oh yeah. Yeah,
oh,
loneliness, there's widowers or widows, and or you're single and you're aged, and yeah,
yeah,
you here you have an online friend and they're nice and they're doesn't hurt that they're cute, and
yeah.
why question that they're interested in you? It's fun.
Yeah. Here's one I was just reading. I actually put it in the book, but when someone does die, like say the obituaries are public, right?
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
scrape the public obituaries for surviving spouse names. Which, when I was in the real estate investment business, we did that. We sometimes looked through it and made lists because those were probate cases, and a lot
Uh,
you're actually helping people. I would do that stuff, and like then I had their address, and I mailed,
mhm.
we'll buy your house, all cash, this and that. And you would see there are people that are like, thank you, I'm so overwhelmed. I need to get rid of this house. I can't afford a realtor. Like, and you're actually providing a service. Like that's what we do. But then there was scumbag real estate investors that were like, oh, I'll buy your house for 10 grand. They would take advantage of people. I'm like, no, you got to build a business. It's a different thing. But I'm
Mm.
thinking, if I could do that, but scammers would go scrape the obituaries. It's public knowledge. You can go on websites for it. It's real simple. You can make all the names. You get the addresses. It's all public, right? Now I know that your husband just passed away. Now I know.
Yeah.
Then I saw he's got a whole profile. He's on Telegram. He's always talking about Bitcoin, and so most likely he owns some Bitcoin in the house, right? Now you're $5 wrench attack, which is the old meme where someone can buy a wrench for $5 and attack you in your house physically and say, "Give me your seed phrase."
Yeah.
There's people out there that brag. A lot of rich people that got hacked like that because they were bragging and saying, "Oh, I have more Bitcoin than you. Look at my Lambo," and they're like just bragging online. And these hackers are sitting there going, "Okay, I see his license plate now. I can find where he lives."
Yeah.
And happening to these gangs from foreign countries, come in and just get the guy and torture him for a seed phrase. I'm like, wow. So these people have millions of dollars of Bitcoin, and they're not protecting it with like multi-signature, which that's a more advanced topic once you get there. But that's, to me, is one of the better ways. There's different services that do it. I talk about in the book just 2 of 3 where
Uh-huh.
you need at least 3 signatures or 2 out of 3 signatures to move your Bitcoin. So if someone does rob you or attempt to rob you, you at least say, hey, I'll give you my seed phrase. In the book, it talked about having like just a little decoy a decoy device, which I made like an old laptop, and I put stickers all over, like Bitcoin's awesome, just like stupid stickers.
Uh-huh.
So it looks like I'm leaving my crypto out for someone to take, and I put maybe $1,000 in like a little wallet in there, something for them to grab. Right, that's not my stash, but my dummy stash, and I'll leave that out on like my office desk. So if my house does get robbed and they see that, they're probably going to smash and grab that. Go, oh, look, it's a crypto laptop.
Yeah.
But real stuff is, locked down, and they would take them. They'd have to really work on it. I have a broken cold card too. That cold card sent me. I love cold card.
Oh.
They actually sent me one that was kind of defective, and they did a good job. They backed it up. They sent me a new one. They had me take pictures and show me that it wasn't charging or something was wrong with it. I've never had a problem before. And they said, you know what, keep it. And I thought to
Oh.
myself, I was going to throw it away. I'm like, wait, that could be a decoy. That's a
Yeah.
flash. It's something that might help in a robbery. Like, here, take my cold card, and it doesn't even turn on. But they might be in a panic, hit me over the head, take it, whatever. And they just got away with nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
that in the book, like if you have any old ledgers that you don't use anymore, make sure clear it out. Make sure it's not. Maybe put $100 in there. Something you're willing to give away to if you're getting robbed, because they're not going to leave empty-handed, right? You want to give them something so you save your life. But
Yeah.
the AI scams, just having like a secret code word that your family only knows, like, hey, the ketchup and the mustard, something stupid. It makes no sense that no one
Uh-huh.
ever like really hack from you. So yeah, I told my mother-in-law about that. People are like, oh my God, the world's so scary for them. Like they don't want to hear, like, you can't overwhelm people with all this at the same time. So when I put in the books, I kind of make it like light narrative reading where the characters are interacting and they're making mistakes, and the grandma comes in, Tony comes in, no, you shouldn't do that, do this, and here's why. It's all about building confidence, in people, that I can do this, I can self-custody. It's not like my paranoia level is different from theirs because they're not aware of it, right? Um,
Yeah. When I started on the journey and I was, it's like I'm smart, I'm learning, I'm careful,
yeah,
but there were pitfalls that I had to learn about, or I started to do something and then later I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, I need to do this right and better. And so as
yeah,
we, as Bitcoiners, more and more Bitcoiners in the world, dip their torch into the bonfire of Satoshi Bitcoin and then are helping their tribe at their local family or community level with Bitcoin stuff. Um, it's like, yeah, you know a lot about Bitcoin, but you hate to ever wreck anyone else, or you get them over their skis a little bit. You can do all this, you can do that, you can keep your keys, grandma, and grandma's like, oh, okay. And but there's a lot to it, so you want to do it carefully. So I want to bring your website to the stage here.
yeah,
So you can go to tony2sats.com and here information where you can download free PDFs. You've got your intro to Bitcoin. You've got your Tony's toolbox, real simple guide and list of like things to do, things to get, where to get them,
yeah,
and as you start. And then your books, obviously, you've got 3, and up at the top there, you can see how to contact you. Book 1,
hmm
free PDF there.
yeah. That's a good two.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead. Do you want to describe the different books and the format, the topics of those?
yeah, sure. I could even flip my camera around and show you kind of a table of contents of each one, just kind of
Yeah,
briefly.
yeah,
Yeah, each
sure.
one kind of tackles a different block of things. And like I said, like when people are becoming orange pilled, you can give them information overload, but you can also scare them to death. And maybe I said a few things on this podcast that you were like, oh, I didn't think of that. Maybe I scared you.
Uh-huh.
Kind of take you to swallow a little bit, maybe. But you have to realize everything's okay. You do have to stay calm. Like the whole overarching theme of my books is confidence and calm.
Yeah.
It's boring. Being a Bitcoin holder is a boring job. The second you start going, what else can I do with my Bitcoin? Should I lend it out? Should I do this? And you start, that's another world. You can do that. That's everyone's right to do that. But I would say research it. Anyway, let me flip the camera around here.
Cool.
On my phone here. So I'm trying to navigate. There's me. Stop my cam. I should have went on my laptop.
I've done that with people where I start to educate them and say they start to get excited and they want to learn and they start going out and learning on their own. And I'll check in with them. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes they get a little ahead of stuff where, oh, I'm doing this and doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Let's slow down for just a bit. Anyway, okay. So you got your book there.
Yeah. So pump the brakes. Yeah, this is the first one on Amazon. You could order the digital one, the ebook, but actually made them into physical, softcover books, and bought my own copy so I can hold it in my hand. It's kind of nice. But yeah, it's a really well done book. It's digital self-defense for beginners. That pretty cool name, right? Liberty Sats. It's just the name of this company I came up with. But yeah, the table of contents in the first book are really just common everyday things we all deal with, like charging our phone at a gas station, to like QR codes, QR code chaos, backing stuff up, Grandma Satsarella, funny name, right? Her object boot camp, Wi-Fi gone wild, guest Wi-Fi. That's what I was talking about. Like your son's friend comes over, they all hack in your Wi-Fi, and if his phone or iPhone is whatever it is, compromised, there you go. Curtain cable that talks about juice jacks. That's the name of the hack in public places where you use a public charger, even pay for it sometimes, like an airport, a busy airport, and you don't know what you're hacking, what you're connecting your device to. So SIM swaps, that's a big one no one talks about. Somebody pretends to be you at like your phone carrier. They go to AT&T or Verizon and say, hey, I need a, and then they can access your texts. And then when you put your 2FA code in and you have text, which you should use email, most people say, or the 2FA app itself. But then they can see your codes that come in, your 2FA codes, and then they can hack. It's hard to do, but that's an advanced. Malicious Telegram group, there it is. Fake update, that's a big one. Like they email you, call you from like Ledger or Trezor or Coinbase and say, hey, you need to update your wallet, give us your 12 seed phrase, and we'll reset it for you. And people fall for it, Anyway, that's in there. We got some good, beautiful artwork that came out. There's
nice.
Grandma Satsarella, there's Joey, kind of a younger guy, but he kind of makes the mistakes, comic relief. It's not about staying in a hotel, but it's actually like a story. Like the hotel's an old hotel, kind of the cozy lodge in. It's very, ice machine doesn't work, plastic plants. It's just kind of on the road. And we've been in hotels like that. We've been in nice ones too. It talks about that. Evil twin attack. That's a pretty cool. Yeah. The bad guy lurking in the background, but because that's kind of what in our minds, right? We're holding on. We have that vision of some guy in a hood, but not all hackers look like that. But yeah, there it is. Congrats. You won a free Alaskan cruise. So yeah, Joey clicked the suspicious network anyway. So Joey's always constantly, he's a clumsy guy, when it comes to self-custody. He learns through the book. So there's 3 or 4 characters. You can kind of relate with all of them, or there's somebody in your life that does it. In the back of each chapter has situations where you might want to buy hardware or software. And when you go to Tony's Toolbox on the website, that's where you could find my links and stuff. And then just little actionable things you can do. How to handle cryptocurrency exchanges, custodial accounts, and all the big words are defined, like all the crypto and Bitcoin boy language out there, like 2FA. Most people don't know what that is. They're starting to learn now. Yeah. So where not to go for help. I have a section in the back that's just bonus. Often contact victims through messaging apps, blah, blah, blah. So you don't want to go for free recovery services, like you were saying. People show you urgency or pressure. They're offering to double your money, like all the main ones. And these all come from FBI statistics and Interpol statistics. Final reminder there. And then there's a bonus thing that has all the attack vectors all at once, and they're fighting this guy. But it's based on everyday, kind of American life and what we deal with, and really for people in the West for the most part. Second book is just moms, families, and beginners, and this kind of talks about the other half, our better half, and how they're not really savvy into the whole thing. And our job is to, as the man in the house, is to maybe not make them savvy, but make them so they can survive. And in the beginning of this book, I kind of have why it exists, why I wrote it, a quiet shift. Wealth is moving, money's going digital. You better get ahead of it before it hits. And then, now we have the big boys coming in, the banks and all that stuff, and they're going to make their own rules too. Everybody's getting in position for this change. Who this
Uh-huh.
book is for? This is for women, partners, couples, where one half of the partnership is overwhelmed by the technical aspect. So yeah, the contents in here really just talks about inflation, starts with that. Just a really basic overall, like, why are prices going up? Why?
Mm.
What is this? And then breaking the myths of I can't do it. It's gambling. Someone else has this covered. Like you were saying, there's brokers and there's lawyers. In this world, there's no one's coming to save you. You're a self-sovereign person. Uh,
Uh-huh.
there's another thing moms and people say. I was surveying people, like, this is only for tech people, nerds, and one wrong move and everything's gone. Like all that stuff. It's really a myth. There's a lot of things you have to really screw up to get hacked, in my opinion. But
Right.
yeah, it starts with basics. Protecting what you've built. That's really the overall thing about it. So it's really short paragraphs, easy to digest. You can probably read this in a day or less than a day. There's actually scams targeting just women, moms, and seniors. Like I said,
Mm.
that's the biggest group, and they're the ones that don't own as much, but they're the most vulnerable for a lot of reasons. Is because they just don't know. So I have
Mm-hmm.
a pattern, just things that after you're done reading it, you'll probably make a list of things you have to fix, and you go on the website, go on Tony's toolbox. So everything I talk about in the book, like there's certain chapters that talk about. They talk about hold on a second, sorry. Yeah, certain chapters of the book where they talk about, you know, losing your Bitcoin and what do you do, like, right after? Do you unplug your machine? Like most people have never walked through this, close their eyes and say, okay, if I get hacked, where do I do? Like, who do I call first? Like, where do I go? So these were my questions, and I just turned them into a book. I thought maybe by educating myself, why be selfish? Let me share my journey out there. And that's why I'm on your show, like just talking to people, doing.
It's awesome. I love sharing it. Good job, man.
Yeah,
It looks beautiful, high quality, and good for people learning. It's a package gift that you can,
yeah,
and for yourself to learn, say if you're starting out, but say you've got others that got to learn and they're tired of hearing you yak about it all the time, or you don't have the time to continually shepherd them all the time.
yeah,
But these books can say, hey, here's a start. Start with, book one, general digital self-defense, and book two, the Bitcoin basics and self-custody. Book three, Bitcoin legacy, stewardship, general responsibility. And
yeah,
so with these books, um, you can start with one or get the series. Like book three, particularly being safe for families or asset legacy planning,
yeah,
available on Amazon. You can go to Amazon. You've got links on your website, and I've got them in the show description here. But you can go to Amazon and download the series here. And Are you working on books down the road as well?
yeah. And I actually have on the website, it's for sale because it took a while to make, but it's a whole packet, and it's not financial advice. And I'd say on there lots of disclaimers because I'm not a financial licensed guy. I'm a licensed real estate agent, and a licensed teacher, but I don't claim to have experts. But from my research, I made it for myself. But then I said, let me sell it. And it's only a PDFs that are for sale on the website, but it's a legacy planner. You print it out, and basically it's really just you and your partner taking inventory privately on paper, right? And before you go to an actual licensed planner, now you have kind of an idea of what you have, like what Bitcoin you have, like, and it's really for the couples to sit down and have a conversation and just start the process of being aware of, wow, okay, you have 16 wallets and you forget the passwords of 3 of them. Where do you keep your passwords? What's the seed for it? Like everything's in there so the couple can fill it out together. It's like 20
Uh-huh.
bucks or something like that, but it's like Tony's legacy planner. But I thought I'm using it, and I fill out my wife, and it's great to see. It triggers conversations between you and your partner or your family. Maybe it's a grandparent, whatever you want to fill out with. Like, hey, I'm going to die. I have Bitcoin. I want to leave it to you. Okay, what are the instructions, and what do you want me to do with it? And it's not a will. It doesn't replace a will. That's something you can talk to a lawyer about. But it gets you thinking about, because most lawyers don't even know what's going on.
Oh yeah,
I
totally.
find lawyers around here. There's a few of them there, and there's one or two crypto tax people. And I try putting that in my resources too, of just how to ask use AI or search engines, what questions to put in. I put that in the legacy planner. So, because people like to use their own AIs nowadays and they like to search that way. So here's some question stems you can copy and paste from my planner to help you find professionals, to help you find the right people. Because they're all going to tell you different things like, oh, put your seed phrase in your will. But I'm like, now you just can't,
Mm,
even if it's
mm.
public, the courts can see probate documents and things. They see it.
Yeah, something goes to probate, and then you got multiple eyes looking over paperwork, and yeah, I mean, you might trust them, but shit happens, and who knows? Or the attorney, or
Problem. You might have a drug problem. I mean, lawyers do. They're not perfect. They're people who have flaws like all of us. And I got this Bitcoin. This widow has no idea that she has $6.2 billion in Bitcoin. Oh, I'll shave off about 250 million. She won't know, and you wouldn't know if you have no idea.
sure,
Those you don't have any idea, they can take advantage of you. That happens all the time. So my idea, like let's teach people how to protect it and not be freaked out, but take a nice slow approach to it. And I do have more books coming out to answer your question. I have one that's already written now, but it's a lot of it is like when your kids go away to college and maybe they're dorming or they're moving in. It's mainly for the 18-year-old to 24-year-old range of when people nowadays they don't really move out because it's too rough out there. But people do go to college and they interact with the internet. They have a roommate. Sure enough, there's a bunch of hacks like that where
mm,
they're communicating with their child. They're living remotely, and now their email is hacked, and now the son and father maybe talk about Bitcoin, right? And
mm-hmm.
your roommate's a hacker, and that's happened. They had a few. Some of them were foreign, actually put in there on purpose in the Ivy League schools where they know the parents have money and things like that. So yeah, there's been targeted attacks in the college level, or what happens when you date. Like there's a whole book I have about dating, like being a young.
Mm,
When you move in with a girlfriend, it's serious. 6 months we've been together. I'm moving in now. I'm a Bitcoiner. Maybe she is too. And how much do you
uh-huh.
trust when you first get married or planning? Like how do you structure? Like I started thinking about that and writing stuff down and researching it, and that stuff's new. People are starting to get married now. They're into Bitcoin. The kids that are graduating high school now in a few years might choose to get married, move out, and buy a house. Start interacting with the world, and I'm like, how do they like
Yeah,
have to go through that? I met my wife, like Bitcoin wasn't really a thing, um, 2009 it started kicking up, so maybe I was maybe heard of it back then. I was like, oh, whatever, that's just PayPal or something. I didn't know what it was. But yeah, now people are moving in with girlfriends and boyfriends, and just maybe we should live together. But like, do you leave your seed phrase out? Or
yeah, those money situations, conversations, and in relationships.
yeah,
I've read some interesting, funny things too. But when I discovered Bitcoin, I was, well established, married, and kids, and really stable. And there's a different level of like trust you have with your spouse, and your together, your relationship with money and money planning, and doing that responsibly and well, and with trust.
mm-hmm.
Then that said, people get divorced, or
Yes,
you start dating another Bitcoiner, and you're really into it, and you share a lot. It's sort
yes,
of like, at what level in the relationship do you share or disclose things about your stack or your processes,
exactly.
or your keys? Say you get really serious. When people
Yeah,
get married, sometimes it's like, oh, let's merge our money, or there's the trust and cooperation and plans there. Well, shit happens. Let's say you're dating, and then it's great for a year or years, and
yeah,
you break up, and she goes fucking nuts, or you lose your mind, and you make bad decisions, or you're like, oh shit, what did she have access to? And she's mad, or oh my
yeah,
goodness.
yeah. You could. I'm gonna put your seed phrase out on the Telegram. Screw this guy. He cheated on me. I know you love Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
Destroy your life, and like, which would be stupid because now you might as well just steal the money. But then I'm gonna take a picture of his seed phrase and just screw him, and then send it. He cheated on me, whatever. Exactly. When it's all happy and people are in a honeymoon, they're in love in the beginning, puppy love. They don't really think about this stuff. So my book, I want to like. I have that question too. I'm not going through that, but I thought, wow, as the world's changing, we have a new demographic, an age group moving into adulthood, moving into college level, moving into high school. So I even have a book that is more written for like young kids just getting an internet for the first time.
Uh,
Like I teach middle schoolers full-time math, and like they take courses and they have it in school here in Florida. They teach like internet safety and stuff, but they're the ones like downloading. They're on Roblox. They're on, which is notorious for like, crazy people and pedophiles. And like,
Oh, dude. Yeah.
here, hey, does your dad have any Bitcoin, or are you home alone? Like, kids, once they get online, they open up a whole attack vector for you, where you'll and for themselves. And my kids are young; they're playing on iPads. She has this horse game, or like other kids, or she says she's 8, and she asked me like, which is my favorite horse? I'm like, you can answer that. So I'm there, and I signed on to the same game and asked me my age, and I put it in there for real. And I'm like, here I am, like I'm my character, my avatar is a girl with long pink hair, and I'm riding a horse, and my daughter and I are in the same game. We're chasing each other, having a great time, and I'm like thinking, and I can chat with people and pretend I'm an 8-year-old girl too. Like, how easy it was for me to sign in and just be an adult, and the people in that game have no idea who I am.
A pedophile's dream.
Exactly. Yeah. They're going, do not talk to anybody if they ask you about a horse. And anybody talks to you, I have her trained to ask one of us and read it, and we go, okay, you can respond to that, and just teaching them. So I have a whole Bitcoin and that. Like, it's not more about Bitcoin; it's more about closing attack space from your family members, and then their friends, and then when people come over to your house, like even your best friends, they're adults, use the guest Wi-Fi. Oh, well, you don't trust me? It's like, no, I just don't know what's happened to your phone. I don't know what you do on your phone. I said, just to keep things, I said, I have financial stuff here. My printer even is on its own network, like, because you can get attacked through your printer. So you can get, I'm making you guys paranoid, aren't I? But
don't panic, folks.
I'm like, as we get into this new world, everyone has to change with it, whether you like it or not. Bitcoin's taken over. I don't know to what extent with AI and all this stuff coming out. I'm like really deep diving into it, listening to like Peter Diamandis and Elon and people like that talking podcasts, and my IQ goes up as I listen to these people. But then I like, is anybody else prepared for this, or am I like the only one, like one of the only ones listening about this stuff? And I'm like, I can't be the only one. But you talk to most people, and most people have no idea what's going on. I'm like, okay, so I want to do something to help them. They don't even know they need help, but let me write some books to help guide people, like visually, step by step, like what's probably going to happen. I'm not a mind reader, not an expert, but I think about this stuff. I'm like, yeah, you have kids coming up in the internet now with Bitcoin. When they come into the adult world, they're going to be able to use Bitcoin probably in like a couple of years, right?
Right.
At Steak and Shake, I go there a lot now because they're Bitcoin. I love those guys. I'm always buying. I'm getting fatter and fatter because I'm just buying. But yeah, you get the Bitcoin fries. It's like it's becoming pop culture now, and kids are growing up into that. Our parents do a job of teaching them how to self-custody at a young age. It's like almost like handling firearms. You want to teach them at a young age to respect it. It's not a toy. Same thing. The Bitcoin is not a toy. It's not magic internet money. You don't do this, this, and this. You have a dedicated email. You use encryption. Like, what's that, Dad? So I'm like, okay, how do you teach self-defense digitally? So.
Yeah. And so as a kid grows up and they start using money, and in the future, it's like, when I was a kid, it'd be like, oh, I get allowance and I have a little cash, and I got my first little actual physical wallet, and then I'm carrying some money around, and then I lost some money, or I dropped a $5 bill, and it was just like, but so a kid in the modern world, it could be like, whether it's on their phone or whatever, they've got a little hot wallet. They've got a hot wallet, and they use it, and they can get paid and spend out of their little hot wallet. And then now that can be like, okay, a burner perhaps, or yeah, okay, a kid can use it. And then, but that versus say more of a, what you might call like a Bitcoin checking account, and then their Bitcoin savings and their self custody. So they have, as they get older, they'll learn the layers to what they're using liquidity versus what they're stacking and hodling and keeping private. So there's layers to your interface with money in society. You have layers to that of security and risk. So
yeah, and you have also, like, you and I are more, we grew up more in the fiat world, our fraction of our lives, not trying to age anybody, but we had all, I remember having checkbooks and like writing physical checks, like when to pay my bills.
Oh yeah, I used to balance my checkbook. Yeah,
I was never good at it, but somehow, as long as I have money for going out to drink, I'm good. But yeah, nowadays the kids are now like, have a foot in both worlds, and then in a few years you're gonna have kids that don't know what the fiat world was as it fades away, which I think it'll morph into something else. I don't think it'll be what we grew up with or anything with actual banking locations. I think they're going to be replaced by kiosks, and then eventually just going to be in the cloud structure. That's just my opinion on how banking is just going to crumble. I think a lot of them are going to go down and consolidate together, and they're going to form Bitcoin companies. Like Michael Saylor would be like the main bank. He's basically building a bank for people to use.
Yeah.
Credit he's building on. It's amazing, but like people don't know about this stuff, and I think they're getting pushed into it, whether they like it or not. Just like the fiat system, nobody asked for it, nobody voted for that. I grew up and I learned about money, and that's just
We
how
were born into it. Yeah.
told me there's another way. Nobody told me that, like, completely blind. Taxes are okay, and that's the price we pay to live in a free society, and all these things you believe. And it's like, well, who created this system, and why am I in it? Now we have a system that was also built for us. Bitcoin, we didn't ask for it; just kind of showed up, right? As far as we know, but we see it's a better system. But yeah,
Yeah.
be guided through this transition is what I'm trying to do here. So
Yeah. It's paradigm shifting, and Bitcoin, can't be deleted, can't be fixed or controlled, changes the rules of the game, and people can't change those rules at the, at a base protocol level. So
yeah,
it's as it entangles itself into traditional systems, legacy systems, it's forcing this realignment to legacy systems.
mm-hmm.
And so, there are entities that are hopping on and changing with it, and there's others that are fighting it and trying to figure out how to control what they can out of it. But they're going to have to bend the knee or adjust their game. And then eventually it'll be like you can look at both systems running and say, are you going to keep playing the old fiat game that is theft and inflation and all the things? Or are you going to just play the better game and win? So there's this shift happening. It's just steadily, slowly, but a lot's going to change. That's for sure.
Exactly. And as it changes, it's going to change so fast. And the thing I noticed is who's educating who, because the legacy system does not want to release their control and power. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, they're fighting.
Are they really, as they control the mainstream media, which we all know, are they really telling the truth? I know they aren't, because I watch like the big players, like who's the guy that's always wrong, the Money Show,
Kramer.
yeah, reverse
Inverse Kramer.
I think people are catching on to that. It's kind of funny. And then you have like Larry Fink and those people who are always like, about Jamie Dimon, Bitcoin's bad, it's the worst thing ever, for years, as they were secretly buying. And people don't know, they lied to us the whole time. We knew, a lot of us knew it that are in the game, but they're not going to tell the people the truth. And who's watching those shows right now? A lot of it is the senior community. They still trust the old system. I don't blame them. I grew up in that too, where it's like, well, we trust everything. Read the history books. The winners are always the good guys. I never question that, though, right? It's like some of it's true, some's not. But the winners write the history, right? Napoleon said that. The winners, if you win a battle, the other side's dead. Who gets to tell the history story, right? So
yeah,
the history of the fiat banking thing is they're going to try to continue to lie and push a narrative until the very end, until they become completely insolvent and have no power. And right now, they print money. They have lots of power. It's up to us. We're the news now. X is a great vehicle. What you're doing is amazing at Bitcoin Live, and like there's a lot of podcasters trying to do different things and different angles, but we are, if we stay together and try to help people and get the message out in a way that they can eat it, that they can digest it. If you watch Michael Saylor, you might be turned off because he comes from a different world.
Yeah.
Come from more of we're regular people. We have a regular story, and we're just like the other person we want to save here, financially. And it sucks because you see people have money in the bank and they still trust exchanges still, no matter how much you say it. They don't really know what an exchange is. They think they think it's a wallet. I used to think it was the same thing. I have a lot of memories, and I have a good memory, and I reflect about my journey as I started and everything I thought was wrong. And back, and I think that's how they think. And I have to be like, okay, you come at them with too much information. Like if they listen to this podcast, me, they probably like, okay, wow, those guys are talking about, maybe they caught on to some things, but they might be like, okay, there's way too much to think about. I want to turn on the football game,
Yeah.
Most people don't want to think about it, and they're trained to let the bank worry about it. Your money is safe in your bank, and none of that's true, and they can't handle that. Also, a lot of people can't handle that their whole worldview is a lie this entire time. So when you expose that to them, they hate you instantly. Like, I don't know, some people can take it. They'll be like, oh my God, you're right. They're ready to be woken up, whatever you want to call it. Most people are. That's where we got to be careful. I think that's where Bitcoiners do a bad job, because we're like, as you get into Bitcoin, you become more aware of a lot of things that were, especially if you listen to Michael Saylor for a while, or like Robert Breedlove, or even your podcast. You listen to all the guests coming up, because you have people that are technical, people like me that are like security. Some people are like opium, you know. So as you
Mhm.
get out in the Bitcoin world, you hear different messages from different people, and it's great. But at the same time, you got to find your flavor, you know.
Yeah. Different people need a different sort of message or tone or style to it or pace. Some people aren't techies or some people aren't into the big economic theory stuff. Some people need it a little more entertaining or, so having a variety out there and also all of that, the Bitcoin culture that is growing and just creating a lot of different content and medium,
Yeah,
uh, it it's pushing back on the state propaganda and stuff that we grew up with where it's like, rest your little minds, we're going to tell you what's happening
yeah,
and what to think, and even as it's divisive, like, well, what side are you on, left or right? And
yeah,
it's this paradigm, like, follow them and their narrative or follow them and their narrative, and they're the enemy and these are our people, and like, what side are you on? It's like walking away from all the propaganda, even as things are happening in the world. But like with war, it's like, what's really going on? What's behind the scenes? Meanwhile, fiat is increasingly struggling to remain relevant. And as they will print and print again, their own currency will further be debased, struggle to be relevant. What works will rise to the surface and work, and what's not working is going to debase and fade into like
yeah,
death spiral. Nothing stops that train. And so
yeah,
people have access to more information. More and more people are waking up and starting to think and question and not trust and be like, I'm
yeah,
going to like be sovereign. I think sovereignty and freedom is probably better than
yeah.
what a control state. So,
It's scary for many people, like I said, because they're used to having, a babysitter from the government or a corporation or a bank,
uh-huh.
and that is comforting. I don't blame you. Like if I don't have to worry about my money and how it's handled, and I can just go about my life, most people,
Hmm.
because we're geared like that. But I think what you're saying is right. Like all this education, everything we're pushing, talking about, it'll help a good amount of people. And this stuff's recorded. Like people can go on your X account and look at content. And if they like you, they can go on YouTube and find content that subscribes to them. But the real healer is nature. The mathematics,
Hmm.
losing your purchasing power. I think it affects old, young, and in the middle because older people are like, why are my kids still living with me? And people
Hmm.
question and blame the world. Oh, why don't you get a job? And there's actually a generational fight, and I hate that. People are like, "Oh, boomers, who the boomers?" Don't blame the boomers. They lived in a system that was different. They took
Uh-huh.
of the rules, and they got into real estate, and people get mad. Oh, I can't afford a house because of boomers. No, it's not because of boomers. Like they really. And now the system. I don't know if it's agents or people out there that put that poison out there, but I see that where you have generational age gaps where the people are blaming each other.
Mm.
Boomers, and you do have some people that are in the boomer range going, "Oh, if you young people just put on your bootstraps and stuff like that." And then you have people in the middle that are like, "Well, we're not young or old, we're kind of middle aged, and we're kind of doing okay because we have a little bit of that." But we start
Yeah.
why the younger generation, they have nothing, no jobs, AI is taking everything. Like they're freaked out. I do work with kids, and they're like 11, 12, and they already see it. Like if AI comes, like what kind of jobs are we? Like why do we need to learn this math? And they're already starting to question it. I'm like, wow. That's a big. I'm like, yeah. Technically, you'll have probably an agent, like a AI agent, personally assigned. Maybe many of them be like, hey, what's 10 times 7? And they'll do the math for you. And
Yeah.
like we had calculators in the 70s. They came out, and teachers would say, you'll never have a calculator in your pocket. And then the phone came out. So I mean, in the future, are
Yeah.
people are humans even have to do math? You know what I mean? Like, am I teaching kids right now, like as a teacher, like that's changing too? Am I teaching them obsolete skills that are in the curriculum? I have to teach them. It's state law, blah blah blah. And
Uh-huh.
they do well, and they learn the math, and I think they should learn math. It helps teaches you to think logically. But is that changing? And then you have young people that can't make it when they come out of college, and they're starting to question college debt. But the system's breaking, and I think that's what's going to wake everybody up, like the way you said it. But it's going to wake everybody up because it hits you in the pocket, just like when you get a speeding ticket. You don't really care so much as long as you didn't hurt anybody. What really hurts is that you have to pay a fine and show up to court. So
Mhm.
same thing with like money and finances. When you lose money or you realize you can't afford stuff that you need or want, you start to usually go through the phases like anger, resentment. What's the stages of death? Where you start
Yeah.
people. Uh,
Denial, anger, bargaining,
yeah,
depression.
I think that's the same process we go through. I went through it maybe in my 20s, and you get into debt for the first time, and you're like, "What? This is not fair." And you start to think, "Man, what if everything was free?" You start to think like a socialist, and you're like, I think everybody goes through that. And then you start to become a Republican as you pay more taxes, right? everybody starts out as like a lefty, and then you kind of work your way through the spectrum. And some people get stuck, you know. So I look at like young people today. A lot of them are just paid agitators, protesters on the political side, but like many of them look at socialism and things like that because it's like, oh, that makes sense, you know. And Elon talks about universal high income, universal Bitcoin income. You're hearing all that stuff come out.
Yeah, where's that money coming from?
Yeah, it has to. Money is just not. It doesn't come out of nowhere, and that's called a shitcoin, right? Like that's where you just.
Yeah, the dollar is a shit coin. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna make everybody's number high. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's say okay, number went up, but not just in your income, but for everything else you want to get, eggs or milk or
Your
life. Uh,
your asset. Your
yeah,
asset.
it's a high income
Yeah.
and also high prices.
Yeah. Print the money. I tell kids it's very much like if we were to make everybody some Kool-Aid, like the old powder and water, and mix some Kool-Aid, and if I just keep adding water to it, what happens to the flavor? The flavor goes away. I'm like, exactly. What if I just keep printing money? What happens? They're like, oh, and the kids have a token economy in our schools in Florida. It's like the school prints out these little dollars.
Oh,
It has like the school mascot on it. And it's like ours is a rocket, so they're like rocket fuel. It's called.
oh, that's interesting.
Do something nice, whatever you give them. Hey, thanks for opening the door for the teacher. I saw you sharpen the pencils. Thank you. The kids, it makes them think like, how can I make some money? And they spend candy and stuff. Emmy, come on. They spend it on events like, oh, it costs 15 rocket fuel if you want to go watch the movie during period 6 and you get out of class. And it's like, wow.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So they have their own thing, and you see what they do. They steal it. They write their name on the back. I'm like, why would you do that? Because you give it to me for a piece of candy, and then I take that money and I give them. They see how it circulates. You know, they start to see. So it's a good thing. It manages behavior mostly, and the kids,
That's interesting.
they have to be responsible. It's physical, like dollars. There's no denominations. Just each one equals one. But I gave them they asked about inflation, like the kids at this age, and we talked about Bitcoin. We had a game called Blook It we play, and it's kind of like a trivia game. It's free, but they have a game in there called Crypto Hack. And the kids are funny to get it. It's a game. You get fictional Bitcoin on it. So we play it. And they're math questions. I design it. And the kids go, and they go in the corner, and you have to pick your password. And they all like try to like steal each other's passwords. And they're looking at it. So I'm like, no looking at screens. Everybody just put your, stay forward, turn your back so no one can see your screen. And then they enter, the game starts, and the winner has like the most Bitcoin. You hack people, and they makes their screen shake and does all these fun things so they can't answer the question on time. If you answer the questions right, you get points in the form of Bitcoin. So they love that's their favorite game. They love it. They love just hacking.
Oh, that's cool. I would love that if I was a kid. Yeah.
But I taught them. I said, hey, what if I printed like 1 million of these rocket fuel dollars, and I gave every one of you 10,000 of them? What would happen if you opened the door for a teacher and they gave you one and said thank you? They'd be like, it wouldn't really matter. I'm like, exactly. So what just happened to the value? Like, what is it worth to you? If you had 10,000 rocket fuel at home and someone dropped one, would you pick it up? They're like, no. I'm like, exactly. So what just happened to value, right? Can you buy all the candy you want and like go to, like, you don't have to worry, like you don't have to be good for the rest of the year. You can just have all the rocket fuel at home. And there's kids that have been caught printing it at home. So we had
counterfeiting rocket fuel.
I said Bitcoin can't be counterfeited. I mean, it can. There's ways, but like if someone sends it to you and it doesn't come through, it's because it wasn't Bitcoin, right? Like it won't go on the network. I explained to him like the U.S. mail, like you want to send an envelope, what do you have to do? Oh, put a stamp on it. Exactly. So the stamp is kind of like the nonce on the end of a code, right? Like when your Bitcoin sends code, and the U.S. mail system is like a blockchain, right? And they won't send your mail through the blockchain system unless you have a stamp on it, which is the token, right? You got to buy a token to prove that your mail can go through the system. And they go, oh, and they kind of get it. So I'll use even AI and say, hey, give me analogies that a 5-year-old would understand. So I wrote another book where each Bitcoin concept is explained from as if I'm 5, as if I'm in 5th grade, as if I'm in middle school, as if I'm in high school, doctorate, PhD, MIT scientists. And I had the AI, and it explained like blockchain in all those different formats. And I'm like putting a book together now for Liberty Stats. I thought it'd be kind of funny because somebody else did that. And I'm like, there's a video I saw explaining Bitcoin, and the lady interviewed like a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 30-year-old, right? And just like on their educational level explained it, and they got it. And a lot of people get it when you explain it like they're 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm smart and all, but this is new to me. So start like I'm 5. And so I brought the screen here, like your intro to Bitcoin here. And I was going to say, I like the way you break it down where you can tell it to me like I'm 5. Then there's like a middle school level and a high school level, so that for each topic, as you go into it, it's broken down in this in the difficulty level. So for every section in each topic, it's like, okay, here's the real basic, and then here's like a little more involved info, and then at high school level, there's a lot more info. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good way to help communicate it.
like Bitcoin for Dummies, almost. Like I love the Dummies books. Whenever I learn something new, I'm like, I don't like to call myself a dummy, but if you can humble yourself when you learn something new, I think that's huge, because then you open up your whole mind. You don't block it. Like even like kids in school, I teach them. I have kids that are very talented at math, super hard, like super IQ. They actually have a gifted label on them. They got tested. Their IQ is way higher than mine. And they won't pay attention. They'll sit there and just listen. I'm like, then they get a 75 in the test. I'm like, see, you're smart, but you still have to humble yourself enough to
Make
say.
effort.
They roll their eyes. I'm like, okay, you're going to work at MIT. You know, and then they take a test and they get 100 on it. I'm like, okay, that's just me talking to them did nothing. But I see there's levels of arrogance you have to get through to get to people to understand Bitcoin. There's exactly, you said, like, I'm smart, but explain it to me. Start from the beginning. So I always kind of ask people, I'm like, the best way to do it. The one way I learned from Max Kaiser, crazy, he's awesome, but definitely he when he meets people in person and wants to orange pill him, he has something interesting. I thought he says, I'll send you $10 of Bitcoin. Just send me your wallet address. Text it to me. And he only does it to me. It's like in person or whatever. He gives him a secure number that he uses. And he says, if they can get through that process where they can generate a wallet address and send it to me, that and they see how easy it is to get $10. And like that hit me when I'm like, wow, I didn't need a bank. It was like Sunday, 2 a.m. I sent my friend $10 in Bitcoin or something like that. We made a bet. I'm like, wow, I didn't need a banker. I didn't need to be up during business hours. I sent my money when I wanted to who I wanted to, and it happened very quickly. Like, and, I mean,
just,
like, wow,
yeah,
like orange.
yeah, just seeing it work. Sometimes you can conceptually understand it, but taking the step, or people have to see it or do it, and then just notice, oh, well, that just, it works. And it's an interesting idea to say people's kind of like somebody's interested, or people's egos get in the way of like, oh, I'm already smart. I got my things figured out. I've heard the FUD on Bitcoin, and I know stuff. And yeah, I'm not into Bitcoin, but like just saying, hey, if you can generate a wallet address or a QR code or whatever, if you can do that, I'll send you $1 in Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I'll send you Bitcoin, and I'll show you how that just zaps.
Yeah.
And it gets people to kind of that next thought of, oh, okay, well, okay, a free dollar, or free $10 in their mind.
Yeah.
And then when you zap it and they see it come through, and it's like, it can just sort of flip that switch of, oh,
Yeah.
that just works. Wow.
Yeah. And they see, like, if they can get through that step, then it shows their limited knowledge if they can't do it. And then if they really want to take your bet, they'll call you and be like, hey, okay, I got to this step. What do I do now? And you're like, okay, now they're listening. But it's motivation. Everything comes learning. As a teacher, I learned, like, learning comes down to motivation, and what motivates people is, getting rich. Like that's you see
there's that.
You look at the betting sites, how popular they've become. Like, people bet on everything, and people they want to get rich. Part of it's a high. Part of it is, altruism. They want to, provide for their family, or leave a legacy, or pay off debt. Maybe they're desperate. There's reasons why people get addicted to gambling. So there's a gambling aspect, just like stocks or real estate too. Is all that speculation that goes on. And I think people get into it for that, and then they get wrecked, and then they giggle when you mention the B word, Bitcoin, and they're like, whatever. You could tell sometimes people get a little nippy with it because they've been burned, or they feel stupid again. Like if they get hacked, they feel stupid. So unfortunately, they're all going to have to get pushed into this. Everyone's getting this, like that machine at the arcade that pushes the quarters over the edge. You know what I'm talking about? Try to win the quarter. I just see all the people as the quarters just getting pushed. And I don't know, for people like us that have been in the game for even a year or more, that's a long time to be in the Bitcoin. You've learned a lot. And I know, talk to people who are like, you should do this, you should write a book. I'm like, really? I don't feel like I know everything like that much. But when you talk to somebody new, or when they have questions, you have to slow down with them. You really have to figure out their level of knowledge, because the second you blow a gasket in their mind, it's over. Like, forget about it. Now you just like, oh man. I have orange pill people successfully, and some of our neighbors and stuff, and they went out and they got the right equipment, and they're asking me questions, and the price goes down. I hear about it. And the price goes up. Like, oh, they're like my best friend. But I said, don't go and buy price. Just learn the system and buy what you think you and your family can afford to lose. I don't do financial advice, never do.
Mhm.
But I said, if you want to learn it, I'll help you. And I think that's the best way. It's just
Yeah.
let them talk and say, well, why do you want to get into Bitcoin? Just like learn their motivation. Just keep
Mhm.
cool and calm, like my books. Just calm, confidence, boring. It's like, so once you hold Bitcoin, it's very boring. You just kind of watch the price go up and down. And then you teach them about why the price doesn't really matter, and they don't want to hear that. They're not ready to hear that yet. You're like, okay, yeah, wow, the price went up. Okay. I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, the price doesn't, it matters if you leverage against it. It matters if you want to sell it. But if you're going to hold
Right.
it for the price, we know that's really a fake number. It's not, it's just,
It's the fiat translation of what we understand to be money in the fiat world. And so the whole time preference around stacking and holding Bitcoin, and especially if you're thinking of like, you can take the orange pill now or maybe get the orange suppository later, but eventually be like anyone who ever sold Bitcoin ever, not that you don't like spend and replace and use Bitcoin as money, say, but it'd be like the long game here is that you held and held and held because it's the dollar that dies, the fiat that dies. And so
mm-hmm.
um, the time preference can be different. So I wonder, as a teacher, and with kids, or when you interact with students, it talking about generations like, oh, boomers are like this, or millennials, Gen Z like that. Do you see a time preference thing in the youth where it's like things are got to be kind of instant? They got their screens. They have high time preference, and it could
Yeah.
be harder to get across the concept of the span of time, even like things like investing or saving or Bitcoin, as opposed to kids can gravitate to things like gambling because they're like all they're thinking is number go up and hustling and winning and playing
Yeah.
a game. And it's another shift to kind of think about Bitcoin as something worth holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see kids with, I don't know, I just presume youth anyway, but culturally, would you
Yeah.
say that generation is getting fed a real high time preference?
I got a lot to say about this. Yeah, I've noticed an increase. I've been teaching for about 12 years. And in that
Uh-huh.
time, I've seen an increase in impulsivity, where
Uh-huh.
kids feel like they treat me like I'm Google. Like they'll ask you 100 questions, they'll rapid fire you. I'm like, sit down, and they have trouble sometimes raising their hand and just waiting. Many kids are good at that. I have to kind of train them that. They're like, Miss, are we going here? They ask me all these questions. I'm like, okay, you gotta, chill out, raise your hand. You also see their parents going through it, and you see a culture where nobody owns anything anymore. Where we
Mm,
that tapes, we'd have our favorite CD, we have our favorite poster. Now everything's like a streaming subscription service. So this generation is being trained to be impulsive because they
yeah.
get fast, quick, almost like, what do I need a teacher for? We're starting to get into that because they could use AI to write things. In fact, when we do state testing now, they always have a sign you have to put up when you test your kids. And with the state test, everything's secure. And like the poster you put up says no electronics, no phones, no recording devices, no smartwatches. And now
Uh-huh.
they added the Bluetooth glasses to the icon of things you're not allowed to wear. They look like regular glasses, like black rim eyeglasses that are prescription.
Wow.
And we had to warn these parents, hey, they can't wear that during testing day, but they need their glasses. And the parents are like, well, I spent so much money. Those are prescription, but they have Bluetooth capability. And
Interesting.
just this year, we had to talk to the principal, like, what's allowed? It's not even in the handbook. Like, we can't write kids up for this. What is this? We had this big to do. And parents got emailed like, hey, if your kids have blue glasses, they can't wear them in school. Like, now the school board's looking at it like, well, we can't tell parents that has to be approved by school board and everything. So, but for testing, they said, yeah, if kids are having those, they have to remove them. If they have no
Hmm.
other fee, they have to go home and they can't take the test that day. It's like, so now that's a big thing. So I'm seeing a rise in technology. Uh, Kids are more like, I have the internet, I have my phone. I see screen addiction more. I see, we have laptops in the classroom. These kids are fortunate. We have a laptop cart in every classroom. As a
Hmm.
class, like history class, each teacher has their own cart and they have their own assigned laptop. And we use AI and math programs to teach them all kinds of things and tracks their progress. It's great stuff. I use it with my own kids, but you see that things are moving way faster. Kids can learn
Hmm.
faster, but their attention span and how long they can hold on to a conversation seems a little shorter. But I mean, more efficient communication. I've seen that too. Everybody's faster. So the machines are kind of molding us. And also, we don't own things as much. Everything's streaming. You stop paying for a streaming service, you lose your music. You lose, you have to listen to ads now. And you're like, okay. So as far as the word ownership goes, do kids really know what that means? As they're coming up, they see their parents paying mortgages for 50 years now, and things like that.
Oh God, yeah.
Payments. You're seeing inflation. They don't know what that means. They're though, and they're smart, and they know how to navigate technology. So they're primed for this, but the fiat system crumbles almost in a bad way. That's going to wake a lot of them up. And my fear is there's going to be a void. I hope there's not a void. I don't want that. Everybody's like, oh, I hope the fiat system collapses. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want that. You want it to collapse slowly. And I think that's what we're going through is a slow implosion. You want Bitcoin or something trustworthy to take over, because if there's a void in power imbalance, that's bad, because then the psychopaths move in. That's always how it works.
Right.
And the bad systems move in, like CBDCs and stuff. And
digital ID, all the things.
People are used to that. We know it's bad, but a lot of people are used to that, and that's the government's way and the elite's way of saying, "Hey, we'll help you, and we'll keep it like it always was. We'll have control, and if you need something, you call this number. We'll take care of you. But let us pry into your private life and see how much steak you ate this month." And my fear is a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's so convenient. I like that." So
yeah, the nanny state will take care of you.
Exactly. I think we need to do a good job of killing people in that aspect, but without getting into politics too much. It's like defusing a bomb sometimes, because some people, you can't say certain words. You can't say Trump. People are
you can't. Yeah.
Republican. You say certain things and they go, huh? And they go squirrel on you, and you lost the conversation. So I try to keep it, as much as I want to get on the politic thing, I'll try to keep it non-political. I try to keep it, where's their motivation? If they're like, I don't want to be poor anymore. Or I have money, I want to leave it to my kids. It depends on the person you're talking to. Orange pilling is a very, very delicate thing. I think people take it to, you need to buy Bitcoin. Why? Because, you didn't do your research. And I hear people run out of arguments and why to buy Bitcoin, and they get frustrated and they tell the non-Bitcoiner, you just didn't do your research. And that just makes someone feel stupid. Nice. So, yeah, I'm trying to maybe even write a book. I was making some notes on how to orange pill someone properly, and that's a tough topic to tackle. But I'm willing to totally maybe a guide on how to do it and get everyone's input. Like even people on X say, hey, how would you do it, and just put it in the book. That's a whole podcast right there. You could do just how do you orange someone properly, and
there's an art to it. I know. I used to I'd be so excited, and I'd push and talk and overdose them, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm not smart enough for all that."
Yes.
And I have to stop and think about how do I invest in this steadily over time, really, or not overwhelm them, or do the right thing instead of making it about here's exactly what I did, so that'll work for you. Sometimes it's like, what are their incentives? What do they need? What are they good or bad at? And tailor it to them.
It's a big undertaking to even ask somebody to hold Bitcoin or read about it just a little bit, because many of them are not ready for they want the things to be the way they always were, and we don't blame them. They're happy. They just want to watch their shows. They want to watch Dancing with the Stars, and they put their feet up and they work their 8-hour job and just kind of they're in the system. And here we are like, no, there's a better way. And maybe they don't want to know the better way. So you just leave them alone. Like they don't want to be sold it. And but when they come to you and say, what is this? What do you? This is the key. What's the next thing you say? Like, how do you approach it? I always say, ask them questions. Use a Socratic kind of method. So if I write a book like that, we'll ask them, well, why do you want to know about Bitcoin? Like now that triggers the conversation. Because when they ask me that, I don't know what their motivation is. Just like when I was in the real estate business, someone's like, I want to get rid of my house and I need to get rid of it quick. Or when I was I'm still an agent, licensed. People say, I need to sell. And you want me to list it? Okay, well, why do you want to sell? And, don't tell the other agent that. We're like, why? And I'm like, because it's like a card game. You're giving them information. You don't want to, I'm desperate. I need the money. Like, you don't want to tell people that. And a lot of people don't know that. They've never sell a house before. They've sold their house once in their life, so they don't know how to play the game. It's very similar. At least they're familiar with real estate. There's middlemen and there's title companies, and that's all going away too. Like even agents and brokerages, there's all these checks and balances along the way to keep people honest. They still don't work 100%. So Bitcoin is better than that. but all people they hear about is the negative news, right? Like my wife, like I said, she's into her friends. I call them her normie group. And
Uh-huh.
something goes down in the world, like when Iran gets attacked or whatever like that, I said, what are your friends saying? Because that to me is the barometer of what most people think. And she goes, oh, my friends and some of them live in another state, and they say, oh, they're saying this and that Trump is bad because this, and they attacked Venezuela and he was a dictator. I'm like, okay. And they
Mm-hmm.
know why he really took it for the oil, so then he can attack Iran. So we don't need the Strait of Hormuz. Like they don't see that strategic stuff that I see from like listening to what's going on. So the same thing. So I have to be careful when you talk about politics or geopolitics.
Yeah.
What you really think if you talk about Q stuff or anything like that to people, and they're like, "What?" And they think you're crazy.
Uh-huh.
But that's the thing. When you get it to this level, you start to feel crazy sometimes.
Yeah,
And
people can't handle the truth in a lot of ways, and even the actual truth maybe beyond anyone's real stretch of the imagination that is so also dark that it's not good for your mental health. So you kind of have to dose yourself, let alone talk about it with others carefully, because
yeah,
reality itself is more than what's necessarily good for casual human relationships. It's hard.
yeah,
It's deep and dark.
you have to almost come back down to a level of their understanding, which is why I say ask them questions about it. Like,
Yeah.
what have you heard, and never and keep it so positive that it really. You almost have there's an art to it, and that's what I do want to write a book about, just orange pilling, just an everyday person, and like just maybe include stories of what people say when you do ask them and you try too hard. I've had people like tell me off, like I was in bars. I'm just like, guys, like, what are you wearing a Bitcoin shirt for? And I stopped wearing Bitcoin shirts for operational security reasons, but also you can, people might say, "Oh, I lost money on that. That's stupid," and they start arguing
Oh,
with
I
you.
tried that once. It's a scam. I got scammed once. Yeah, scammer.
Scammer, now nobody wants to talk to you. So that's the thing too, like how much do you reveal to the world, because now there's hackers and you're out there, hey, I'm a Bitcoiner, it's like, and they get your name, get your address, and it's like, okay, well, as long as you have stuff in place, you don't have to worry about that. But
Mm.
you can't tell a new person that, because like, oh, now I'm gonna get robbed. Like, what are you trying to sell me here? This is dangerous. Not only is
Uh,
this when it's dangerous, and you're my friend, like, so yeah. I
mm.
the title of the book, The Art and Science of Orange Pilling People, like just volume 1, and just
Yeah,
start.
well, and it could,
Yeah,
yeah, in your series, I just imagine a book where it's like, okay, now that you've learned and learned and learned, you've gotten through the first set of books. Uh, Now as a Bitcoiner, you want to teach others. How do you orange pill? There's an art to that. I tell you, there's a lot to it actually.
I think
Uh,
starting with your closest circle, because if you have a wife or a husband, I mean, somebody close that you want to teach them what you have, how to access it if you're incapacitated or killed.
yeah.
I think that's the hardest person to orange pill, but they love you, they trust you. They're not
Mm.
gonna. They might call you crazy and shut you down, like if you talk about football too much or something. Same thing.
Yeah.
But at least I think starting there, and then how do you orange pill strangers? Because that happens. People are like, hey, I heard you're into Bitcoin. I have friends like I work with, and they're
Mm.
like, what have you heard? So I
Yeah.
always think coming back with more questions, because their motivation, you don't know their motivation. They could be pretending to be not into Bitcoin and phishing you. They could be a stranger. You never know. Like these
Right.
hackers, these hackers are. So you got to be careful about it too. So yeah, I think there's really not a lot of. I don't think there's any books on how to do that right now. So that's why I go on Amazon. I'll look and I'll use AI to scour it for me, help me use those tools. Powerful tools, by the way. Use them
Uh-huh.
just to find out, is there a competition? There's other books out there doing it. And how is it written? And I'll read it if I can. I'll be like, wow, this is really good. Okay, I can't beat this, but maybe I could. I try to think of not a way just to sell copies. It's really more about just helping people and seeing it from my point of view, and being like, all right, maybe this is helpful, maybe it's not. Let me write a book. Let me tell people about it, and if they don't like it, whatever. But I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, because that's
Yeah.
where we fail the world. And it's I think we've been. This is the weird part, the woo woo, kind of thing. But I think some of us Bitcoiners have been kind of chosen in a way. I don't know if that makes sense. Have you ever thought that way?
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
why did I stumble into this? Like, how I go back. I was on a treadmill one day, listened to X22, and Dave mentioned it in his one of his podcasts about finances. He used to have one main podcast. Now he breaks it into two. One's about politics, the other one's about the financial world. And that's when I heard again, like, let me. Then he talked about another Bitcoin influencer on our show, and I'm like, okay, let me listen to the show. And that was it. 2020. I'm on the treadmill going, okay, let me get into this bit. Let me learn about it. I just gave it a chance. but I don't know why that happened. I don't know what thought came across.
Uh-huh.
How I stumbled upon any of that stuff. I didn't even know it existed. And
Yeah.
Twitter at the time is, Elon didn't buy it. So I don't know. I think
I've
about it.
thought about that. Like at one level, I could say, well, I got lucky, but also I had done a lot of earlier work and gotten my mind was fertile and I was curious, and uh, I had put in the perspiration and thought and was open minded and was seeking for an answer. I knew there were problems and I was looking for answers, and I was just kind of maintaining my open mind. And I also I'm keen about truth. I think a lot of Bitcoiners care about the truth and a certain kind of ultimate truth at a level. And so then when Bitcoin did come along, my brain was just kind of ready. And then I saw it and just grabbed on hard. And so it was, and you could say that little pivot moment was luck, but I was also kind of just ready and waiting. And COVID prepped a lot of people's minds as well, where we're all sitting there looking at things going on, going, shit's not right, or shit's messed up, and like what is going on here? You get the COVID stimulus checks.
Yeah.
Like I still got to go to work, core required duties and jobs and stuff. So it's like I'm going to work, and then people are getting checks or being told to stay at home, and I'm like, what is going on? And so it compounded upon my readiness, so that when I heard about Bitcoin, random as that was, I was like, I'm going to check this out. And then as soon as that, I took a step through the door, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and it was like, okay. So yeah, kind of a serendipitous, but also magical, almost spiritual moment, So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd like to even compile from all our people on X and just put it out there in the world. Like, hey, I would like to hear your stories and like put them into the book. Like, just if they want to be anonymous, you know what I mean? But it could be like,
yeah,
hey, even if we can get someone bigger up there, like Max Kaiser, I doubt they would, reply to us. But even anybody there's a bunch that are medium level accounts on here that actually interact. I know Larry Lepard, he's awesome. He always
yeah,
like me. I'm like a smallest account ever right now, but he'll repost my stuff. And I had a
oh, cool,
Safety DM who's like liked one of my things. I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like, maybe these people would that'd be cool if they wanted to be featured in it. I always like in my books, I'll put little tags like me in the background, acknowledgement thing in there to, people along the way as the books come out. And I thought,
yeah,
man, it'd be cool to get everyone's percent. How did you get into Bitcoin and see, and then put it all into AI and see if it can come up with like a common thread, a trend, like that
right.
describes the Bitcoiner. I think it is. You said the word truth. Like we're always truth seekers.
We're truth seekers.
Notice that we've been burned by the system. We've been burned by the system financially. We've seen it with just all the systems, how unfair it is, from like divorce court to custody court to credit card bills to interest, like all the systems we're born into, and how unfair it is, and how once you start to make some money, how they get you a capital gains, and then they turn around, they have all these agencies, not to keep you safe, but these agencies are there to gatekeep who's allowed to be wealthy in this system and who is not.
Well, and
then you start reading.
The whole system, it's increasingly just an extractive state system, the extractive state theory of money, self-preservation, and they're perpetually broke, and they're designed by plan or by nature. They are there to extract. And so at every level, in every way, it's just extraction. And so we're being farmed. And so, if you're tired of being farmed, there's an escape hatch, and you just got to take the step. Bitcoiners are also kind of Sigma, or don't need to follow the herd, or not caught up as much in paradigms like left or right, red or blue, pick a side and fight and be distracted, alpha, beta. And we're kind of like Sigma. We're kind of aloof, on the side, watching, not caught up in picking a herd tribe. We value freedom and sovereignty, and we're not falling for it. We're kind of like, no, there's more going on here. It's like they say, it's not it's not red, it's not blue, it's the state. There is no red, there is no blue. There's the state, and there is you. It's the things.
Yeah, you can tell even at I was listening to you, but if you go to Bitcoin meetups, if you ever go to those, you meet some great people, but you can almost tell after a while who's new and who's not a Bitcoiner. Like the one guy was a real estate investor, shows up with a nice fancy custom made shirt on, really overly confident. You talk to him, he's kind of dismissive, starts talking about himself. And everyone else of the group seems very similar to me. Like we're all talking about the same stuff, really, really engaged. Like I feel like my brain's like buzzing. I don't know what it is. I just feel like something right around Bitcoin people. There's my people. If it's like 5 people or a group of 100 people, I talk to everyone and everyone's approachable. I feel like there's a level of brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But you tell the person that's, still in the fiat world, they come in, they're like, yeah, what can I do with this? And they just want to talk about fiat stuff. And that's cool. I'll
Number
talk
go
about
up,
that.
whatever. Yeah.
Like, how much Bitcoin is this? Oh, they're talking about business opportunities, and they're really not into the technology or the truth behind it. They're into getting rich and staying rich and power. You can tell they haven't realized that yet, and you can almost sense, I don't know, that's just me anyway, you can almost sense the overconfidence and the, they've made it in this fiat game and maybe you didn't, whatever, and they kind of have that persona, and then you look at the car they drive and they're like, that's good for them, but you can almost see it in a room. But real Bitcoiners, they are kind of Sigma.
They might get into Bitcoin, but they're also looking to just cash out. It's fiat mind, buy it so that you can get rich. And what are you going to do? You're going to sell they're going to sell their Bitcoin and be rich. But time will tell. TikTok next block. Yeah. So I want to get to how people can contact you. You can find Tony Two Sats on X at Tony Two Sats. You can find his books there. Great feed. You hosted a Spaces. I missed it. I was busy last night, but you had a Spaces yesterday?
Yeah, I haven't done a space yet, and I was on a few spaces. I figured that's a great way to talk to people, get to know people. And I was listening to Grant Cardone the other night, and I actually got to speak to him. I was like, that's pretty cool. We had a little conversation about what I'm doing, and he was cool about it. He's like, okay, from his perspective, he's in the Bitcoin real estate now, and I told him about books, and he was like, well, and I said, well, the book is really, for me, it's kind of like an anchor. It's a credibility thing as well. Like people say, wow, he's a published author on Amazon. So if I go to talk to someone and they want my help, like I have a little more credibility than not. So I thought that's one anchor of the book, and he liked that. But he's like, most people don't like books; they don't like to be told. They don't want to learn. I'm like, I get you. I said, but some people do want to learn, and that's for them.
That's awesome.
He's in a different world. He's definitely 1 foot. He's starting to creep into the Bitcoin game, but he made his money, he made his billions in the fiat world. So why would he want to leave that? Now he's starting to see his buddies get into it. Now he's getting into it. And it's cool to see him humble himself, though. Grant's cool like that. He and his brother Gary, they're on there doing spaces, and they'll talk to you. Like you stay on the call, they'll give you a free take. Like they're really receptive. They want to know more. You could tell they're in the game, and that's how they're doing it. But I don't know. I'm out there, and I'd like to continue to build my account in X and really use the books to help people, like just doing threads or constant things, even about dating and Bitcoin, like stuff like that. That gets people. I'm trying to monetize the account eventually. That'd be kind of cool. But really. Bitcoin education is a tough niche, but I'm willing to take the challenge on. I think it's important to me. I get passionate about it, and so much so that I'm writing some books and got a little website going. So I'm like, let me throw it out in the world and see if I can help one person, save a couple $1,000s. That's worth it.
Absolutely. You're putting the proof of work in. Go out there and do things. You're producing stuff. You're a builder, and so and.
With you guys, man, I'm in there. So
and
spectator.
So find him on X, Tony Two Sats. You've got your website here. You can go to tony2sats.com, and that's a way you can read information about your services, your products. You've got your books. They are available on Amazon. You can go on. You can just buy them directly on Amazon there if you want as well. I should mention on your website, there's free stuff to download. You can download free the Intro to Bitcoin, your toolbox, and even book 1. Yeah. So you can get started, and as you like it, go on to the other books. The whole series is on Amazon, and it's awesome. I love what you're doing. You're producing and building great content. You're making it accessible. Bitcoin interfaces with lives in every little facet. So I mean, from your kids and your aging parents and your relationships and your own financial planning and your operational security. And just as you live your life, there are so many facets to how you integrate life with Bitcoin with your life. And you're building the roadmap in terms of all the things, and so I love it. I really appreciate you sharing that with me today.
Thank you for having me on, Fritz, and yeah, we'll do it again sometime. We'll bring some
Yeah.
more content and down the pike. I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, we could talk more. I mean, we just touched on so many things that we could have gone into. So, yeah, down the road as you make more and do stuff, or at some point, we can follow one of those rabbit trails deeper. So we can talk more about it.
Thank you, man.
Awesome, man. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been, wow, around 2 hours right now. It's been amazing. I had a lot of fun, and you've taught me a lot, and I look forward to learning more on your writings and further work. Everybody else, thanks for joining us, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.